Ever since FNAF released, there has been hundreds of hoaxes which has sparked many theories, ideas, and tons of speculation throughout the FNAF community, with all of that stemming from these said hoaxes. But what even are they even real, and how did we get here? Well, if you're brand new to the series, or a veteran to it, I have compiled all of my previous hoax videos into this video for one seamless and easy to watch supercut. So if you just need something to listen to in the background while you work, or need something to go to sleep to while simultaneously educating yourself on everything there is to know about FNAF hoaxes, then this is the perfect video for you. And if you've already seen all my previous hoax videos, then no worries either, as at the end of this one, I have collaborated with some other FNAF creators to look at and discuss some of FNAF's newest hoaxes ever made. Also, timestamps are available if you want to skip to certain segments, or if you need to rewatch certain ones. But anyways, let's get into the FNAF hoax supercut. Five Nights at Freddy's is filled with hoaxes, and I bet you don't know most of them. I mean, you probably know the common ones, like Sparky the Dog, Toy Golden Freddy, the Purple Guy Animatronic, Red Trap, and Phantom Bonnie, and probably a bunch more. But instead of me talking about the well-known ones, we're gonna be talking about the ones that you guys probably don't know about. We're gonna be talking about the ones that fell into obscurity and were overall forgotten due to time. So maybe you OG fans will remember these fake Five Nights at Freddy's hoaxes, but I can't blame you if you don't remember. These hoaxes are very forgotten and aren't nearly as known as the popular ones. And we're not gonna just be talking about hoax animatronics in this video. We're going to be talking about every single hoax in Five Nights at Freddy's that has been forgotten. And some of those hoaxes are hidden gameplay mechanics that never existed, creepy secrets and Easter eggs, and etc. that were never in the game. But we're also going to be talking about way more than just that. As the game started to become more popular and as more games released, the hoaxes started to die down, I'd say after the 4th game. So we're only going to be talking about hoaxes from the first couple of Five Nights at Freddy's games. But before we talk about the most forgotten hoaxes, we got to talk about some of the most popular ones. And we're just doing this as a quick recap so we know which ones are popular and which ones aren't. And while all these ones are extremely popular, you should know about these ones. The most popular Five Nights at Freddy's hoax was probably Sparky the Dog, and that was probably one of the first ones too. I believe Sparky the Dog when I was younger, and I actually remember playing the game non-stop for hours at a time to try and find this hidden character. And little did I know, it never existed. Over time, these characters and hoaxes started to become more and more prevalent through the games. For an example, in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, this game had the most hoaxes out of any other in the series. And as mentioned earlier, some of those included the Purple Guy Animatronic, Shadow Balloon Boy, and so much more. And then there was also a bunch of hidden features that were supposedly in the game that were also hoaxes. But we'll get into those in a little bit here, so hold your horses. And then also, as I said earlier, the hoaxes started to die down after the 3rd game. There was a couple for Five Nights at Freddy's 4 and even FNAF World, but after that, they kind of didn't exist anymore. But even after the hoaxes stopped, after the first couple of games, the impact that they left behind was insane. A bunch of fans grew up on these hoaxes and did believe them for a certain amount of time before they were proven to be fake, and made the games scarier than they were. For example, if you were playing FNAF 2 and you thought the Purple Guy animatronic was real, you would be fearing to not see that animatronic because of how terrifying it was, especially if you were a younger child like me. These hoaxes helped shape the games into what they were, and helped add a very mysterious element to these games and to the franchise in total. Now don't get me wrong, some of these hoaxes were very bad, like the Chrome Freddy one in FNAF 3 if you guys remember that. But a lot of these hoaxes helped shape the game to be what it is today. And even though they're not very prevalent and most of these hoaxes are forgotten now, I would say they have a very big part in the history of Five Nights at Freddy's and the whole franchise. And I'm sure some of you guys can agree with me. But that's why we're going to be talking about some of the most forgotten hoaxes that, well, you guys probably heard about a very long time ago. But who knows, maybe you'll learn about a new one or two in this video. But before we get into it, make sure to subscribe if you love Five Nights at Freddy's. And with that recap out of the way, let's get right into these hoaxes. 666 kitchen camera. Now this urban legend slash hoax is about what would happen if you type 666 in the custom night menu of Five Nights at Freddy's 1. People speculated that if you type 666 and left Foxy at 0, or vice versa and left Freddy at 0, you would be able to start the night and see the kitchen camera. Now, as we all know, the kitchen camera in FNAF 1 is blocked off and you can only hear audio. Now, the reason this hoax is so forgotten is because after a bunch of tests and, well, ever since the 1987 Easter egg with Golden Freddy, people realized that it just doesn't work. It's a very easy thing to check out. You type 666 in and guess what? It doesn't work. And since the 1987 Easter egg was more popular, it kind of took the popularity away from this one and made it die very quickly. The cupcake can blink on rare occasions. This one's exactly what it says it is. People claim that they saw the cupcake blink on rare occasions after closing or after opening the camera, or even while idling in the office. Now, there isn't an animation or anything for the cupcake in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, but this is a very creepy and disturbing hoax, as people thought the cupcake had some sort of secret significance hidden behind it, even though it was just there for decoration. And I'm surprised this hoax didn't get that popular because this is kind of disturbing. The Bite of 87 cutscene. Now, before Scott put the Easter egg Oregon, where if you put 1987 in the custom night, you'll get the jump scare. People originally thought that if you put that same code in, that you would get a cutscene of the bite of 87.
Was that the bite of 87? Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Now, obviously, this one wasn't true either, and that's another reason why Scott made the Golden Freddy Easter egg for this code. But don't worry, this isn't the last hoax that is related to a bite of 87 cutscene, because for some strange reason, the fans for Five Nights at Freddy's were very adamant at there being a bite of 87 cutscene. I don't know why, but apparently they just really wanted a cutscene for it. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's has a bunch of very forgotten hoaxes and a bunch of hoaxes that were in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, but most of them are very well known, and it was very difficult for me to find some very obscure ones like these three that I just mentioned. But as I mentioned, the bite of 87 hoax actually transferred over to FNAF 2. And I know, you might be asking, what do you mean by that? Well, I'll tell you here in a second. So let's start talking about FNAF 2, because this is where the hoaxes really started to come in. And even though there's a bunch of popular ones, there's also a bunch of forgotten ones. And for the people that don't know, FNAF 2 is one of my favorite FNAF games, if not my most favorite. And now that I look back at it, I think the main reason I like this game so much is because of all the hoaxes that were involved with it. I don't know, it just made the game feel more mysterious and more creepy, especially to a younger me. Jesus, I think I was like, what, 10, 11 years old? But I'll tell you, 10-year-old me was terrified of these. But anyways, let's get into the FNAF 2 hoaxes. The bite of 87 cutscene. Now, this hoax doesn't have a lot of information regarding it, but people said that if you did a secret Easter egg in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, you would be able to see who caused the bite of 87. People speculated that there was some weird Easter egg, or if you completed the 1020 mode in FNAF 2, that the cutscene would begin to play. It would play in the same format that you would play as the minigames, and you would control your 8-bit character and see what happened. This one is also kind of an urban legend because no one knows where it originated from or how it became popular. And while obviously it didn't become that popular because there's not a bunch of information on it, I still would say that it's pretty prevalent when FNAF 2 released, even though I've never heard of it. Puppet TV screens and possessed plushies. Now, I put both of these entries in the same thing because these are interchangeable. It was said that if you got all the plushies in the mobile version of FNAF 2 and booted up a game, the eyes on the plushies would be possessed. And while obviously that isn't true because that just doesn't happen, a very infamous picture leaked online of it happening. As you can see in this picture, the eyes are blacked out with the white dots, and you can see the marionette or puppet on the TV screens behind them. And that brings me into the puppet screens part of this hoax. People also mentioned sometimes the puppet would appear on the TV screen or in static, kind of like how the puppet flashes in the one camera. There's not much information on these hoaxes, but it was pretty popular when the FNAF 2 mobile version released, because I remember seeing this picture float around the internet for quite some time, and then eventually die out. Endo 2 and BB can kill you in FNAF 2. Now this one's very self-explanatory as well. The hoax states that on rare occasions, if you saw these animatronics, that there was a slight chance that they could actually jump scare you and kill you. For example, if you saw Endo 2 in the vent next to you, on rare occasion, once you would close your monitor, he would jump scare you. And same with Balloon Boy. On rare occasions, people said that they saw or got jump scared by Balloon Boy. Now obviously, none of these are true, but when the game first came out, people said that this was happening to them, and people did believe this to be true. Toy Chica taking the paper pal off the wall. Now, this one's also very self-explanatory. People say that on rare occasion, you could see Toy Chica taking the paper pal off the wall and having it being placed in your office after. So supposedly there was a very rare camera sighting where you can see her doing so. And then after you would close the monitor, the paper pal would be in your office. Now, obviously this isn't true as well, but this was a very popular hoax when it first came out. Shadow Prize Corner Cat. This one is very reminiscent of the Sparky the Dog hoax from FNAF 1. People claim that you could see a cat-like animatronic silhouette hidden behind the puppet's box in FNAF 2. The hoax image is on screen right now, and it was very believable at the time, and some people actually started to speculate that it was some sort of cat or foxy-like animatronic. And you might actually remember this one because people debated on if it was a cat or a foxy-like animatronic, but it was none of them as this picture isn't real. Gray Puppet. Now this one's kind of popular, but maybe some people forgot this one, but I feel like this one was pretty popular at the time. I don't know how this one would have been triggered, but there is a video online showing the Gray Puppet, and in the video you can hear the 8-bit sound from the FNAF minigame saying save them. Then after that audio would play, the puppet would jump scare you, but it wouldn't be the normal puppet. The puppet would actually be gray as it jump scared you. As I said, I'm pretty sure this one's fairly popular, but the video online on YouTube of this hoax, it doesn't have that many views on it, so maybe not. I really don't know. Now I'm sure FNAF 2 had a bunch of more forgotten hoaxes that I couldn't find online anywhere, but as I said, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was where the peak of these hoaxes started to come out. Everyone was making their own theories, hoaxes, videos, and etc. about these fake animatronics and features in the game, and a bunch of them got super popular. And even if they're not popular now, they were super popular during the time of the game being released. But out of all the Five Nights at Freddy's games, this is the one that had the most hoaxes ever. But we don't just stop there. FNAF 3 had a bunch of strange and pretty interesting hoaxes that you guys probably never heard of either, as I never heard of these, and I'm sure a bunch of you guys haven't either. So let's get right into it. Salvage/Fred Trap. I'm going to do a quick plug right now, but I actually made a full video on this FNAF hoax. Here it is right here on screen if you guys are interested. You guys can check it out after. It's a very good video, and I believe it's actually very well informative for this this topic, but I'll give you a quick synopsis on what this hoax is. Salvage/Fredtrap, as it's called, is a hoax where people thought that Springtrap was a completely different animatronic. And that's all I'm gonna say. You guys have to go check out my other video because I go in more depth and, you know, more detail about this animatronic. New Freddy. Now this one's actually pretty popular. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this teaser image on screen right now before. And if you haven't, well, be kind of shocked. But this teaser image circulated around the internet for a long time before FNAF 3 got released. This fan render of Freddy was used in a bunch of fan artwork for Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Or well, fake teasers for Five Nights at Freddy's 3. And this piece of artwork was stolen from multiple times to be used in these fake FNAF 3 teasers. Hence why it's probably so popular. But who knows, maybe some of you guys don't remember this. Five Nights at Freddy's Free Roam. There was a leaked image online of a picture that showed what it looked like to be free roam for FNAF 3. It wasn't real, but this image on screen was very believable at the time, and people thought that this was a real picture of FNAF 3, as the fans really wanted a free roam game at the time. Now there was a bunch of hoaxes for FNAF 3, especially when it came to teasers, but I feel like this image got kind of lost in the internet and just was forgotten about. But oh well. Bonnie in FNAF 3. Now we all know that Bonnie never appeared in FNAF 3, but on one of the cameras you can see an arcade machine that is themed as Bonnie. A bunch of people speculated that the body wasn't a decal on the arcade machine, but it was a real animatronic that would move on the later nights. And since Bonnie's the only character missing in FNAF 3, people thought that it wasn't a phantom animatronic and was actually a real animatronic like Springtrap was. But I've never even heard of this hoax. When I played the game, I could obviously tell that it was a decal on the arcade machine and not a real animatronic. But I guess some people believed it when the game first came out because they just really wanted Bonnie in the game. I don't really know. Custom night in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. People claim that you could get a custom night for FNAF 3 if you didn't die throughout your playthrough of the game. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that's probably one of the hardest FNAF games for me. I was never able to actually beat it. Maybe I should go back and try that. But I just don't think, especially when the game first came out, there's no possible way for people to accomplish that. Because at least for me, there's no way I could play the game without dying at least once. So I can understand how some people thought this was real when the game first came out. FNAF hoaxes, there's a lot of them. And due to the sheer amount of ones that were made during FNAF's prime, and with many still being made today, it's no wonder that some of them are forgotten about or never got popular enough to actually be remembered or known about. So as the title of this video would suggest, we are going to be looking at some of the most forgotten FNAF hoaxes ever made. So before I start yapping about them, make sure to subscribe if you love Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, if you do love Five Nights at Freddy's, you'll probably know about a lot of hoaxes, with the main ones not needing to be explained, as I'm sure a couple pop into your head the second you hear the words FNAF hoax. But there's a couple of hoaxes that I bet a slight amount of you may know already, or that come to mind when you hear those words, with those being the demon animatronics. The demon animatronics are going to be the first hoaxes I look at in this video, and they're comprised of Demon Springtrap, Demon Freddy, and Demon Funtime Chica, and are infamous in the community for various reasons which I'll get into in a minute here. But getting more into this hoax, these three animatronics were claimed to be seen in FNAF Ultimate Custom Night, and would be spotted in the game after you set every animatronic to 6 in the menu. Then after playing a couple of nights with these settings, less animatronics would appear as time went on, and if you died during one of these nights, an upside down cross would appear on the game over screen, signifying that the demon animatronics would soon spawn. Then after playing through another night or two, it would appear. Technically, every animatronic would have a demon version, because depending on the animatronic you set the 6 to first, that would be the demon animatronic you would see. So for these 3 different demon animatronics that we know of, the reason we don't know of more is because the other 47 animatronics weren't documented online showing off the demon versions. Now all this would be how you spawn in these animatronics if they were real, which they aren't. YouTuber Community Gaming is the creator of these animatronics, with him making 3 videos showing off these hoaxes, with them being highly clickbait in nature. And I mean, if you don't believe me, just let me show you some parts of the videos with the audio included, and I think you'll, you know, realize it's clickbait.
From the vents here, and we can vent look. Here we can see him. Yo, that's not a normal looking Springtrap. Come, visit me. Hello? Oh my god. What the hell? Dude, did you see that? But we had Funtime Chica, right? That was her. And she was all demoned up. So I think she flashes on the screen, right? She flashes up on the screen, and then I don't know. I don't even know. She went away. Dude, that is crazy to see that so soon. That means it's working. Dude, 666. I guess it started.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really need to explain much on why these are fake. You can just obviously tell from the video and everything else, but yeah. Now, even though some of you may know about one of these variants of the Demon Animatronic hoax, with the most popular one of the trio being Demon Freddy, just know that this was just the appetizer, because now we move on to hoaxes that I've never even heard about, and some that I may be certain no one has ever heard of as well. So getting onto the real forgotten animatronic hoaxes, we start off with the Nightmare Purple Guy animatronic. Yes, it's as ridiculous as it sounds, and just wait till I show you the picture of this hoax, because oh boy, it is something. Alright, well, prepare yourself. Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I told you it's bad. Now, while you guys go bleach your eyes, I hope your ears still work, because time to go into the lore of this animatronic. Now, this hoax is claimed to be seen in FNAF 4, and the description of this hoax states that in FNAF 4, during gameplay, the phone guy can be heard rarely in the background, but is speaking backwards and is all distorted, and on even rare occasions, something that resembles a red eye might appear when the light is shined down the right hallway. Now, the image clearly shows that the animatronic has purple eyes, so wouldn't red eyes be more akin to Nightmare or something? Anyways, let's look at the image closer. Why is there a purple version of Golden Freddy's FNAF 2 jump scare in the background? Oh, that's because this image actually has very little to do with the hoax and is actually from the FNAF fan game FNAF Ultimate Edition. But even though this image isn't actually related to this hoax, the hoax in of itself is still accurate, I think. I'm not really too sure. But it's in the hoax wiki, so I guess it still existed as a hoax sometime in, you know, FNAF's lifespan. There's actually way better art featuring this hoax animatronic that was made by FNAF GYFR. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. I'm just gonna say it as it is on Reddit. And it was actually included in the fan game until it was replaced with the worst version of it that we, you know, just looked at, unfortunately. Anyways, enough purple guy talk. Let's talk about another purple silly little fella instead, with that being Nightmare Shadow Freddy. This is exactly what it sounds like, just a hoax about a nightmare version of Shadow Freddy. Even though the image provided for this hoax is just a recolor of the Nightmare Fredbear skin, it's 100 times better than the last abomination we just looked at, so I really can't complain. Now, the description of this hoax basically is just a quick summary of everything I said, but looking back at one of the older descriptions, we get something more unique, and this is how it goes. The first time I saw this, I thought it was a nightmare, but then I saw that it had different colored eyes. They were pinkish purple, Nightmare eyes were red. It was so odd. I looked up pictures of Nightmare and saw that his eyes are red. Maybe it was just a glitch, I thought to myself. I played the game again and noticed that Nightmare still had the pinkish purple eyes. I just stared at it for a while, then my game crashed. I couldn't stop thinking about it in bed. The next morning I woke up at 6 and looked it up. The results I found were an animatronic named Nightmare Shadow Freddy. It showed a picture of Nightmare with purple fur and the exact same colored eyes. Now, this just reads like a creepypasta, and to be honest, I think it might have been an attempt at one. Regardless if that is the case or not, it's still on the hoax wiki and is classified as a hoax, so I guess it is one. But instead of talking about more Nightmare animatronics, let's get back to the fun times one last time, where there is actually another fairly forgotten hoax that includes a made-up animatronic known as the Funtime Blood Puppet. This hoax is actually very different in the way it came to existence. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, this hoax was actually hinted by Dawko and Scott Cawthon himself to appear in the now cancelled Update 3 for FNAF World. During one of Dawko's charity streams, they made mention of this character, but as time passed, no Update 3 released, which made this hoax fade into obscurity. So technically, if a third update was released, this hoax could have actually been real, which is pretty interesting to say the least. We would have also gotten an official appearance from this animatronic, as there is no mention or hints towards what this animatronic hoax would look like, but a fan-made model of it is actually used in the very popular FNAF fan game Ultra Custom Night, where they appear as a bloodied version of the adventure puppet from FNAF World, while also having Funtime face plates and red accents. Yeah, not really much on this one, but that is kind of just the basic synopsis, but yeah. But staying on the theme of the puppet, or at least staying somewhat on the theme of it, we move over to the Possessed Plushies hoax. This hoax is actually very well known, as I'm sure many of you have seen this image of the hoax. But this isn't the actual image I am talking about, because there is actually another image with these possessed plushies that got overshadowed by this very popular image. There is a low quality image of what looks like to be plushies which are seen in the prize corner area of the pizzeria in FNAF 2. Now, I understand why this is forgotten, because this isn't even a picture from the game. This looks like to be an image taken from a source filmmaker film or video, and unfortunately the hoax wiki doesn't have credit to who made this, so I cannot credit the actual creator of the hoax image. But after all of those hoaxes, there is still one more which I am sure no one knows about, or even considers a hoax because of how absurd it is, and because it's from a FNAF game that doesn't even exist exists yet, with that being FNAF Into the Pit. Now you might be asking, how does FNAF Into the Pit have any hoaxes? The game doesn't even come out until another 2 weeks. Well, just let me explain for a second. This hoax actually comes from one of its trailers, and even with the absurdness of this hoax, it still counts as a hoax because it is on the Hoax wiki, and that is BBL Spring Bonnie. Yeah, you heard me right, and oh boy, where do I even start? This hoax started with this fan-made image created by Minty Sherber on Twitter, which depicts FNAF's Into the Pit Spring Bonnie caked up. Literally, the only reason this hoax is still on the wiki is because Johnny the Night Guard made a video on it, which caused it to become an actual hoax in a way. But Salvage, also known as Fred Trap, is a character that was introduced into Five Nights at Freddy's 3 through one of Scott Cawthon's teasers. Now, most of you guys that are new to the franchise might not know about this character, but he was very popular when Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was announced. Now, you guys might be asking, I've never heard of this character, or you might not know about him. But well, yeah, that's because Fred Trapper, also known as Salvage, doesn't exist. Was that a funny meme? Yeah, okay, let's get into it. Now, let me back up a second. On screen right now is a FNAF 3 teaser, and I'm pretty sure it's one of the first. Now, in this teaser, it's very noticeable that, well, Springtrap is in it. The teaser says, I am still here, with Springtrap next to it. But, well, something looks off, doesn't it? Do you notice it? Well, if you don't, I can't really blame you, but this doesn't really look like Springtrap. Now, Scott was known for changing things up in his teasers. As you can see in this FNAF 2 teaser, here is Foxy and Mangle, but Foxy is the FNAF 1 version of Foxy, and Mangle doesn't look all destroyed or anything. Sometimes Scott uses placeholders of older assets instead of the new ones because he may not have them finished or all polished or done yet. And that seems to be the case with this teaser because this doesn't really look like Springtrap. It doesn't look as rounded or just anything like that. And this is where the myth of Salvage came in. Now, before it was introduced to us that Springtrap was the main antagonist for Five Nights at Freddy's 3, people started to speculate who this animatronic could be. And well, a couple of the theories were that this was Salvage. But this was one of FNAF's most popular animatronics that never existed. So in this video, we're just going to be going over what Salvage is, how he came to be, and a couple theories, and just basically overall interest and information about this character. Now, there's actually a couple interpretations of the character Salvage, and we're going to go over some of those. Now, the most popular version of this hoax is the original Fred Trap design. Now, it's basically just a reiteration of Fredbear, but it just being withered and having Afton in the suit. So it's literally just Springtrap, except just with a different suit, which is Fredbear. Or kind of an older model Freddy Fazbear, but preferably Fredbear model. And well, when you mirror the teaser image, it does kind of look like that, but it's really too hard to tell. Now, the second iteration of Salvage is, well, this picture on screen right here. This is some fan art for the character, and basically what this fan art shows is everything that was in the box put together. So a big theory for Salvage or Fred Trap, or just the entire Five Nights at Freddy's 3 game premise, was that the animatronic would come into your office and he would just be a basic endoskeleton that was stuffed, and he would come into your office while you aren't looking and he would steal a piece from the box. And after he stole all the pieces from your box when you weren't looking, that's when he would jump scare you and attack you. So the main premise was theorized that you would have to keep an eye on the box and keep your eyes on where the endoskeleton that is stuffed is at, which is a pretty cool theory, but we all know that isn't true. And that's what this fan art shows. It shows him after stealing all of the animatronic parts and what he would look like after he's finished, which is a very cool concept, but I think the Fred Trap design is better. I really wish Scott would have used this design instead of Burn Trap or Scrap Trap. It's a little bit more creepy and it looks very scary. But now we're gonna get into some of the crazy theories about this character that you guys probably don't know about. Now, this is probably one of the more crazier theories about this character, but maybe it's not. I don't really know. Now, instead of people theorizing that this was Freddy or Fred Trap or anything like that, people actually thought this was Foxy. Now, yeah, that doesn't really make sense, but if you look at the image without mirroring it or anything, some people speculated that this was a withered or destroyed version of Foxy with a dead person in it, or basically just a stuffed version of a withered Foxy. And this sparked a bunch of debate online. Unfortunately, I can't find any of the forums that had these debates, but a bunch of fans were complaining to each other that there is no way that could even happen.
Fox Trap is real. I have proof.
Shut the fuck up and take the beat down of 87 noob.
Or that it resembles nothing of Foxy. Some people also thought that this was a different version of Bonnie, which, I mean, it kind of is. It's basically a spring Bonnie suit, but some people thought that this was just a normal withered version with a face, or just, you know, something of the sorts like that, which is a little bit more believable since, you know, Bonnie kind of has the same facial structure compared to Foxy. Now, who knows what the case was with this teaser? Now, Scott has done changes before in the past with other teasers, as I mentioned earlier with the FNAF 2 teaser. But with all these theories coming out pretty early early during the FNAF 3 life cycle, or not even during it, way before it, maybe this could have influenced Scott to make some new terrifying animatronic, which would eventually lead out to be Springtrap. Now, as I said, these are all just some crazy theories that definitely aren't true because, well, we are way further into the game cycle than FNAF 3, but they're just really weird and kind of crazy to think about. Like, these theories could have really made Scott change up his design and mechanics for FNAF 3 because it does look very different. But without further ado, we're at where we're at now. We have Springtrap and it's all been debunked. Now, for some of the OG fans out there that experienced this hoax and knew about it when the game was coming out, what do you guys think about these theories and what did your guys' initial reactions turn out to be? Were you guys kind of along board with these theories or did you guys think that these were kind of stupid? Now, I mean, it doesn't really matter what we think now. As I said, we already know who the animatronic is, but back then things were very different, I guess. We didn't know much about who the next animatronic was going to be, and it was all up in the air for speculation. Now, FNAF has a lot of hoaxes, so much so to the point where there is a dedicated wiki to them, Iceberg's made about them, and who can forget that Sparky the dog was featured in the FNAF movie. Now, I'm sure many of you guys know the most popular hoaxes, with some of those being Sparky, the purple guy animatronic, and so on, but over time, as the years passed, those hoaxes have lost its creepiness. You see, what made some of the earlier hoaxes so disturbing and creepy is the mystery behind them, the looming fear deep within you as you play throughout the many FNAF games, wondering if they could be real and if you could see them at any second while playing. Because let's be honest, many of us have felt that before, but nowadays many of the FNAF hoaxes, old and new, just fall flat compared to how they used to be. And why is that? Well, it's probably because we have hoaxes like this nowadays.
I'll be crying if I look like that too, bro. That's fucked up what they be doing to y'all.
Well, personally, I think it's mainly for the reasons I just stated, but that's why we're going to be taking a look at some hoaxes which are new, obscure, and so on that give me that feeling I once had as I played FNAF. So if you love FNAF and FNAF hoaxes, make sure to subscribe. Anyways, let's take a look at some of the scariest FNAF hoaxes ever. So we are going to be taking a look at a couple of FNAF hoaxes that I find personally creepy, along with some that I think you will too. And as we go down the list, they get more creepy and scary. Anyways, the first one is Emerald Freddy. Now, Emerald Freddy is one of the newest FNAF hoaxes made at the time of recording, and it's also fairly popular. Emerald Freddy is a hoax made by My Name is a Bee team on Twitter. This hoax shows off a lime green version of what looks to be Freddy or Golden Freddy due to the positioning. In the screenshot of the animatronic, we see Emerald Freddy sitting in the office, but looking around we also begin to see very weird anomalies throughout the image, with the whole office looking completely different and even seeing some strange text at the top right. Now, in my opinion, this looks AI, but apparently the creator said it wasn't. But I mean, if it's not, I'd say they did a very good job at giving this image a very uncanny feel to it because it looks like it was AI generated. There is also an image of what Emerald Freddy's jump scare looks like as well, but personally it looks like something seen in a FNAF animation video rather than the actual FNAF games. But don't worry, there is still more to show. There is also a FNAF 2 version of this hoax made by the same user, where we can see a withered version of Emerald Freddy, seen sitting on the right side of the office instead of the left like how Golden Freddy does. The image also has a very weird, uncanny feel to it as well, as the AI imagery really shows in this image, but yet again, apparently these weren't made in AI, but I mean, that's just hard to believe because it looks so accurate to how AI would make it. There is also another image of this hoax, with Emerald Freddy standing similarly to how Withered Freddy does in FNAF 2. Now, Emerald Freddy isn't that scary in my opinion, with the bright colors and whatnot, but due to how uncanny the images are, along with how out of place it looks, I'd say it's fairly decent for a new FNAF hoax. But staying in the same game as Emerald Freddy kind of, we move over to the Nightmare Purple Man hoax. Now, this isn't really much of a hoax, but rather an image which was made off of a hoax, dubbed, as I said, the Nightmare Purple Man. Not to be confused with any hoaxes or fan-made art about the purple guy animatronic being in nightmare form. No, I simply mean just the purple guy. This image was originally made by LDR Warlock on Reddit, and originally wasn't intended to be a hoax, but instead was just a cool piece of artwork made of purple guy. But due to the sharp teeth and weird texture of him, apparently he was turned into a FNAF hoax due to these features. There isn't much information about him or really the hoax itself, but it was clearly just another attempt to turn the purple guy into something creepier, while also trying to claim him as something which could be seen as a nightmare in FNAF 4. Yeah, not much really to say about that. It is kinda creepy at first glance, but after staring at it for a while, it kind of just looks like a clay model or something like that. I don't know, nothing really beats the OG purple guy animatronic for me. But talking about the purple guy animatronic, let's take a look at another hoax featured in FNAF 2, that being Red Eyes. Red Eyes is a hoax image that shows a obviously fake black creature with red eyes, along with it appearing on the monitors and even in the hallway. But that's not the scary part about this hoax. This one actually has some interesting lore behind it, because I don't actually know where these images came from. When I started researching for this video, I came across this image on the FNAF Hoax wiki, and it was not found under any specific hoax, as I only found it by looking through the wiki's images. To try and find the source, I reverse searched the image, and a lot of things came up. Some pictures from the Roblox game It Lurks, where a character also looks similar to the one seen in the image. There was also another image of the character from the abandoned Discovery Island wiki, which is a fan-made remake of Five Nights at Treasure Island, and in the wiki, a character named Kilos can be seen that looks very similar to this hoax. There's a couple of more images that popped up after I reverse searched the image, but these ones looked the closest to the hoax. But it gets even weirder though. When I tried to find the source, nothing came up. So where did this image come from? Was it inspired by the other games, or is it the opposite? Frankly, I don't know, and it's very creepy. And as I continue my search, I found another image on the Hoax wiki, discovered the same way, with a poorly cropped image of what looks to be the FNAF 2 office, with red glowing eyes in the darkness. Now, what is this? Where did this come from, and what came first? Well, to be honest, I don't know, and I couldn't find anything about this hoax or even these images because they don't have a name attached to them. I just named them Red Eyes for this video, but yeah, creepy, because like, where did these come from? Well, we still have a couple of more on this list, with the next one being Dark Springtrap in FNAF Ultimate Custom Night. This hoax is exactly what it sounds like, but due to the disturbing imagery and forgotten nature of this hoax, I'd have to say it's pretty disturbing. Around the time of Ultimate Custom Night's release, a edited image of Springtrap's jump scare started to spread online, and I'd have to say it looks really good. Not much information is known about this hoax as well, but I'd assume that this hoax started off as a hidden character that can be seen during the night of Ultimate Custom Night, like how Fredbear is or how any of the animatronics DD spawns are. Taking a look at the image, the first thing that catches my eye are the white cloudy eyes that Springtrap has, which look to either have red pupils or splots of blood on them. The excessive use of blood on this animatronic helps it appear more unnerving compared to others seen in the franchise, because we usually don't see this level of blood on the characters. Other than those main things, the only other major feature is the fact that the suit is more of a less saturated green. I never knew about this one until making this video, and personally now it's one of my favorites due to just how eerie it is. Now this is the one I've been waiting for, as this one is the reason I made this entire video. The Entity. This hoax is pretty forgotten about, as the only mention of this hoax was on a Reddit post made 3 years ago, in which the user shows off a supposedly real image of this hoax, along with a render made by Ram Choopy of this animatronic. The OP said, quote, "An old hoax back when Glitchtrap wasn't discovered and was only mentioned by Tape Girl. So someone made a hoax which was the Nightmare Foxy costume behind presumably the FNAF 1 window. It is not that known since the creator revealed it was a hoax a few days later." Well, that kind of explains it for me. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a better image of this hoax, but the image provided is really disturbing. If I didn't know that was a mask, I wouldn't have even been able to begin what that possibly could be. I think the creepiest thing about this hoax is just the eyes. They are just staring into my soul. Mixing that with the fact it looks like it has a bottom row of human teeth just really unsettles me. Even though this is a really low quality image, it's just really creepy for some reason. I don't know if it's just because of how uncanny it is or what it is, but I don't like this. Anyways, we do have an honorable mention before we get to the last one, and that is the FNAF 2 Stingray virus. As a quick summary, this is a virus that when activated will hack your phone, allowing a random hacker to steal all of your personal information and so on. This hoax has started to get very popular within recent time due to the creepy things that will happen while you're playing the game, along with the whole hacking part as well. I'd also like to note that apparently this might not be a hoax after all, as some people have claimed to play this game before and have seen it before. FNAF Ransomware, the newest subgenre of FNAF horror. However, unlike FNAF VHS, FNAF Analog Horror, and whatever else the internet has made, FNAF Ransomware is actually scary. So what is FNAF Ransomware and why is it starting to become very popular? Well, I will be answering all of your questions in this video, so before I start, make sure to subscribe if you love Five Nights at Freddy's. So before we can explain what FNAF Ransomware is, we need to understand what ransomware means and what it is in general. Ransomware, described by Google, is a type of malware that prevents a user from accessing their device or the data stored on it. It does this by encrypting the user's files, locking hacking the computer or stealing the data from it. Usually all this is caused by a group or individual, which will then demand a ransom to fix your device. Ransomware attacks are typically carried out using a Trojan disguised as a legitimate file. The user is tricked into downloading or opening the file when it arrives as an email or etc. So yeah, it's basically a virus that takes control of your computer, and the only way to fix it is to pay the ransom. There was also another very popular ransomware virus that was super popular a couple years ago, and it was the Jigsaw ransomware. I'm sure probably some of you guys have seen this before. It features an image of Billy the Puppet from the Saw franchise, and gradually will delete your files until either everything is deleted or until the ransom is paid. It got very popular due to the creepy imagery and because of the way it was spread online. And with that example, you guys should now know a basic understanding of what ransomware is. Very simple to understand, right? Well, it should be, because another very popular horror subgenre came out from a very similar concept, those being the creepy anti-piracy videos. Now, if you don't know what those are, I'll quickly explain, as this and FNAF ransomware share a lot of characteristics that make them almost seem the same. Anti-piracy, or an anti-piracy screen, is a bug that appears when someone pirates or steals a video game. The purpose of these screens is to protect digital content from unauthorized copying or use. A very popular example is in the Super Mario 64 game, where if you pirated it, this screen will appear, where it says, "It is a serious crime to copy video games according to copyright law." And there's some more unimportant stuff at the bottom, but yeah. Now these started to become very popular due to how unnerving it was to experience one of these screens as yourself, hence why many people started to make their own disturbing and creepy versions of these anti-piracy screens. So how is FNAF ransomware similar to anti-piracy? Well, because it's basically the same formula, just used as a different concept. All of the FNAF ransomware videos follow the same pattern, and we'll use the most popular FNAF ransomware video as an example, which is Five Nights at Freddy's. The video starts off with the user telling the audience that they found a free version of FNAF 1. As the user goes to open the game, for a split second a creepy version of Freddy can be seen. Then we are given a warning that isn't at all what it looks like in FNAF 1. After the warning, we get put into the main menu screen, which looks very distorted and obviously bootlegged. As the user clicks on play, instead of it saying Night 1, it says Is Sin. Then we are brought to the main office, where do I really need to explain that bro shouldn't be playing this game? I mean, just look at how bad it is. Like, you're obviously gonna get screwed if you play this. But anyways, the office can be seen getting visibly darker, but that's when the user opens the camera to see a really uncanny version of Freddy staring at them. And none of the other cameras work either, so you're forced to stare at this nightmarish Freddy. As they close the cameras, the office is almost pitch black until the user gets jump scared by Freddy, but he has glowing eyes instead of the normal ones and just looks completely different. Shortly after that, a message pops up saying this: "Hey now, the game has a paid version. Now we show you free download link Bitcoin." Then after that, more strange text appears along with a Bible quote, and then their computer shuts off. Shortly after, the computer reboots, and then this is seen. This is the ransomware screen, very similar to the anti-piracy screens. And then that's the whole video. Pretty creepy, right? Yeah, I think so at least. This video is one of the most popular FNAF ransomware videos on YouTube right now, and to my knowledge is one of the first. It got a lot of backlash for the use of AI images, because that's what created all those very unnerving and uncanny images of Freddy. Many people complained about the use of it, but to be honest, I think it really made the images look more creepy and uncanny than if it was just edited images. AI has that very specific look, where it tends to make things look very unsettling and just unnatural, which I think it did an amazing job at in this video. Another YouTuber by the name of Genesis already made a full in-depth video explaining this ransomware video in particular, so if you want more info on this specific video, feel free to check it out after this one. But yeah, now these are basically how all these ransomware videos go. The user shows a pirated version of a FNAF game, creepy stuff happens, and then they get the ransomware virus. There is a lot of these videos coming out as of recent, and they are all fairly creepy. This one I'm about to show you genuinely gave me goosebumps and is the whole reason I made this video, because I don't ever get scared and this video made me have goosebumps, so that is saying something. Now this comes from the ransomware video FNAF 2 Free Edition, and I won't show the full video, only the part that scared me, but the video link is in the description if you want to watch it afterwards. Also, you might want to turn your volume down for this part. yeah, I don't know, man. When I first saw this, I literally got goosebumps all over my body, and like I've never been that creeped out before. I don't know like why it scared me, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm sure you guys get the point, and I don't think I need to show any more examples. So that brings me to ask the question that I'm sure all of you guys are wondering right now. Is FNAF ransomware real? Where did it start? And so on. Well, I do have the answers, so just let me explain. FNAF ransomware isn't real. Just like how the custom anti-piracy screens aren't, FNAF VHS and FNAF Analog Horror isn't, and so on. It's all just a series of creepy videos made to look real, which I'd say some do a very good job at. But these videos are based on something that is also very similar, which I won't get into right now because I already made another video about it last week. But I will give a quick explanation in a minute here. But there is one more thing more important than that we need to talk about when it comes to these videos. I did find very sketchy websites that had some very sketchy download links to apps with names similar to the ones these videos have. Now, did I click them? Nah, I ain't even gonna go anywhere near them. So did these links have the actual games? Well, I don't know. All I know is to please be careful when looking online for these videos. If you can, please just stay on YouTube and watch them there. This should be obvious, but please don't go clicking random links to look for said videos, because who knows what it can do. You might stumble upon one of these links that are very sketchy and God knows what it'll take you to or what it'll download onto your computer. Obviously, these ransomware videos aren't real, but that doesn't mean a copycat isn't gonna come along and make their own ransomware out of these. So, as I said, please be safe. That's how you'll accidentally download the FNAF 2 Stingray virus. And talking about that, let me explain more about how that relates to these FNAF ransomware videos. FNAF 2 Stingray is a virus that acts the same as these ransomware viruses do, where when you download it, it will supposedly act like the normal FNAF 2. But then when you complete the game, it will do something deadly. This is FNAF 2 Stingray, one of FNAF's most infamous and terrifying lost media viruses ever made. And this is me playing it. But what is it? Is it even real, and how did we get here? Well, if you're not careful enough, you may end up in the same situation as me and thousands of other FNAF players. So that's why I'm going to explain and answer all of your questions in this video. My name is Gavin, and let's dive deep into the truth of one of FNAF's biggest unsolved mysteries ever. FNAF needs no introduction, as it has recently just celebrated its 10-year anniversary, but over the past 10 years, the series has evolved and changed for better and for worse. But as of recent, a new phenomenon has started to plague the community, and that is FNAF virus content. If you are as big as a fan as me of the franchise, especially within recent months, you cannot escape these fan-made videos depicting bootlegged FNAF games that have viruses in them such as malware, trojans, and most importantly, ransomware. These fan-made videos and even fan-made games have made waves in the community, with many big creators making videos talking about them, playing them, and even more. But this content didn't just start and become popular out of nowhere. There's actually a catalyst to this trend, and that is FNAF 2 Stingray. Before I explain to you how FNAF 2 is relevant to all of these other FNAF virus videos, we first need to take a look at when Stingray became popular, and most importantly, take a deep dive into what it is so we are all on the right page. Around 2022 to 2023, TikTok became flooded with videos showing off a supposedly real and very disturbing virus for FNAF 2 that would damage your phone beyond repair and hack into it. Around this time frame, more and more videos kept being made to spread its existence, and by early 2024, it was all over the internet. Around this time, that's when the FNAF ransomware videos began popping up, meaning this supposed FNAF 2 virus indirectly or directly caused this trend in the community. So with a basic timeline established for where we are in this story, we need to take a step back and explain in depth where I became involved and why I involved myself in finding this virus. Simply put, no one knows that this virus is real, and for right now, it is only an urban legend, and that's where I come in. After hearing rumors about this urban legend, it instantly intrigued me, and I immediately began taking a look into it. And a couple months ago, after a short and rather misunderstood, misleading investigation, I made this video, where I explained my very surface level evidence on what I believed at the time was conclusive evidence regarding the Stingray virus. But after reopening the case a month ago, I realized my evidence didn't match with these new claims, and was completely wrong. But then I also realized that so was everyone else on the internet who talked about or made videos about this virus. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Before I begin explaining my investigation and how I believe myself to be the only person on the internet to know the full truth of the virus, I must explain in depth what Stingray is. With that being said, I must mention that to truly understand what the FNAF 2 virus is, you need to understand all of the falsehoods, misinformation, hoaxes, and so forth that it's shrouded by. So if you've heard of this mysterious urban legend before, I want you to forget everything you know about it, because after a month of research into this topic, I was finally able to find all the right answers and lies regarding Stingray. So as I said, forget everything you know because it's all wrong. FNAF 2 Stingray is a supposed virus for Android, which was released in 2015 or 2014, some reports claim, on an app similar to the Google Play Store and App Store called Aptoide. This store was very similar to those official stores, but because of its unofficial nature, many pirated games, bootlegs, free versions, and much more could be found on it, meaning that since the developers didn't need to be verified, some of those games also could have had many trojans, malware, and much more hidden in its code, designed to target young and potentially vulnerable or gullible users to download the games. These reports and claims were also attributed to Stingray, where supposedly there was a developer in Aptoide that re-released FNAF 2 for free, and when played, you would be jump scared by a girl or chica without eyes, and then your phone was given a virus and it would appear as if it was factory reset. Unfortunately, no one has been able to confirm the validity on if you got jump scared by chica or a girl, and because of that, there has been no definitive answer on what it actually was, but most people believe it was chica. This was the first ever official story regarding Stingray, and this is what it was for around 2 to 3 years, until last year, where another version of this urban legend started circulating around the internet. This second version of Stingray is also very popular, if not more, due to people thinking this is the truth behind Stingray, and it goes as follows. Once downloading the APK for the game, before you can play it, the game makes you accept all permissions before being allowed to start the application, and once you do that, the game will delete itself or appear as a black screen, even though it's still installed on your phone. Then a program called Android.elite.1.origin begins to run and collect all your phone's data. During all of this, all of your contacts are getting sent messages every 5 seconds saying, "Hey, at contact name, Elite has hacked you. Obey or be hacked." And if you attempt to open any apps, or in some cases immediately after being hacked, this image will appear on screen. This version got way more popular for a multitude of reasons, with the main reasons being that it's just, well, way more grounded in reality, and the Elite virus is actually real and affected old Android phones back in the early 2010s. There was even an APK on Aptoide during that time called Angry Birds Transformers, where it was actually hiding this virus in it for any unsuspecting victim to download it, and it was prominently featured and documented on websites, Reddit threads, and more, talking about how to avoid the Elite virus and so on. These are the two main stories and versions of this urban legend, and with these being the two legit versions of the stories, it was finally time for me to begin my investigation. So now I finally had two leads to follow, which was to find an APK that matched the description of either of these claims. I wanted to take a different approach compared to other internet theorists and investigators, as most if not all of them were strictly reciting already well-known information that may or may not be true, but then there were some that were also looking for supposed APKs of either of these versions of this virus, and were seeing if they fit the description of these claims. But I wanted to test the APKs and play them while also data mining the files to see if they were from 2014 to 2015, so that's what I set off to do. I began by googling FNAF 2 Stingray and immediately started to look through various Reddit threads discussing the virus. Many threads had a lot of mixed information, along with various APK downloads and links to different versions of the supposedly real virus, but I kept looking through them and the files to confirm that many of them were just recreations or blatant fakes. But that was until I stumbled upon a very intriguing Reddit post. When translated from Portuguese to English, is titled, "I actually found FNAF 2 Stingray." And with it being from 2 months ago and having little engagement, I was intrigued. The thread goes as so. Hello everyone. First of all, I'm sorry if my Portuguese sounds wrong. I'm using a translator to type. I know this topic is apparently already saturated in your community, but I had a real experience with Stingray when I was a kid, and was looking for a download for FNAF 2 for Android, and I'm desperate for someone to listen to me about this. At the time, I didn't have a computer, and had just become fascinated with FNAF after the release of the second game. I had a tablet and thought, why not look for a way to download the game? It was paid on Google Play. Until I searched for something like FNAF 2 APK on Google. The first link that appeared to me was a Russian website that contained some phrases in English saying it was the game's download. I promptly downloaded it and installed it. But when it was time to install it was with the name Stingray and Russian letters. I installed it because I was a poor child, but the game seemed unfinished and had demo in the menu. I was already tired of playing the demo because it was the only free source that was on Google Play. The only thing I vividly remember is Chica's jump scare that appeared for 0.1 second and was already overlaid by a website that opened by itself. The website contained several ads and pop-ups and seemed to be made to infect whoever accessed it. Where am I going with this? Well, I recently saw in the FNAF community talking about this, and I promptly went to look for my tablet from that time. I really hoped that it was working and that I still had the APK downloaded. I didn't delete absolutely anything from this this tablet, and very lucky it was alive. Well, it took forever for me to access the file and finally send it via Bluetooth to my phone because obviously the system was already too slow and the screen was kind of destroyed. The file was in my downloads folder, and incredibly I had kept it installed directly on the tablet too. Anyway, I uploaded the file to MediaFire, and I hope I am contributing to unraveling this line. For those curious, download at your own risk. After reading this, I was extremely curious, enough to the point to where I actually downloaded it on my old Samsung phone to play it for myself. And let me say, it did not disappoint. So here is the first ever video of me playing the supposed Stingray virus. Okay, so right here is my old phone, the one that I'm going to be playing the, Stingray virus on. So basically, I don't have anything done on this video yet, so I'm sure I said in the video that this came from the Reddit thread, the APK download. So basically, I did a factory reset almost. I didn't do an actual factory reset because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to sign back in, but I deleted almost everything I can think of that could go back to my name. The SIM card doesn't work and everything, but basically there's no internet on this thing. I have it on Bluetooth mode just to be safe, no Wi-Fi, no nothing. So the only thing I really have left on this is a couple useless files that if I do get hacked won't really matter too much, and an APK download, which this is it. Okay, so we have the audio down and we're clicking install. So we're just gonna see what happens. Okay, add to the home screen. That's it right there. It literally says Stingray. So, oh my god, it's doing the permissions. No. This is time was asked for. I'm gonna deny. I'm gonna just deny everything, and we'll see if we can play. If we, oh no, dude, I'm terrified. Okay. This app was built for an older version. Oh my god, it needs a GPS. You need to activate GPS. No. Oh. Okay. This app is using the full screen. The home, back, and recent buttons are hidden to minimize. Oh, this is just for my phone. Okay. Next. Okay. We have the audio turned up a little bit. So this is Five Nights at Freddy's 2 demo. It says Elite Stingray. Doesn't do anything if you click on it. So, I guess we'll just play. This is legit, guys. So, new game. So I'm standing up while I'm doing this because I have a tripod right up here, which is holding my phone. So this might be a little weird. I'm going to try to keep this as steady as possible. Yeah, so I don't really... Okay, so if it's going to be anything like the virus, at the end of the night, we're going to get jump scared. Which means this is probably just a knockoff. This might not be... I don't think this is real. Oh! Oh my god, that scared the shit out of me. That's it, guys. This might be real. I don't know, but that's it. That's it, dude. Oh my god, dude. I'm gonna turn my camera around. Hold on. Dude, I don't know if you guys can see me. Hold on. Hold on for a second. I'm putting my other phone down. Dude. Oh, you can't see. You can't see. You can't see. There's tears, bro. That's... Dude. So, yeah, there's one thing I have to admit to you. It's not real. I mean, obviously, it doesn't match any of the descriptions about the virus, and it's just poorly put together. Hell, after data mining it, all the files were from 1979. I mean, come on, why would it be in Russian text when the urban legend comes from the Spanish and Portuguese speaking community? After this little hiccup in my search, I realized that finding the truth of this virus was going to need some thinking outside of the box. So with my first day of research over, I began thinking of where to go from here. The next day, I had a plan, and that was to start looking where no one else has looked before, and that's for the source of these claims. You see, as I mentioned, people are only looking for the APKs, or they are just spitting surface level information from the internet out into their videos to either debunk or prove Stingray. But I decided to take my investigation even deeper than anyone else's, and that's by looking for the source. This second search was very much so the same as the first, but with me instead focusing on finding the earliest mentions of something similar to the two descriptions for Stingray. I searched older Reddit threads, threads, archives, links, and much more, and that was until I noticed a pattern on a lot of these Reddit posts. There was a commenter named SwapperFishy12 on almost every post I saw regarding Stingray. So with me potentially finding another lead, I clicked on his profile and searched through it a bit, and then I realized that I found something groundbreaking. They own a Discord server specifically made for investigating the Stingray virus. So I immediately joined, and after joining, I was flooded with tons of information and help regarding my research. But unfortunately, a lot of the chats weren't really relevant to what I was searching for at the time, as many people were just looking for the APKs and playing them to see if they were legit or not. Shortly after I joined, I let everyone know who I was and why I joined the server. And funnily enough, someone actually noticed who I was and actually bumped me up to be a moderator in the server, which I thought was kind of funny. But regardless of that, I continued my search and began looking towards Aptoide, since both stories mentioned that they were from Aptoide. And since the Reddit post made by Swapper mentioned two Aptoide store pages under the names of Mila UPV and Edgar Array or something like that reposted FNAF 2, that's where I continued to look. Yeah, I'm terrible with names. It's gonna be butchered for the rest of this video. I apologize. Anyways, after doing a couple more searches into those names, along with Aptoide and FNAF 2, I miraculously found two videos posted in 2015 of people downloading FNAF 2 from the Mila UPV store, meaning it was a real store. After they downloaded the APKs, the game appeared as normal on their home screen, and the videos ended without showing gameplay. But I noticed something odd. Do you notice it? The apostrophe in Freddy's is missing, meaning that something is off about these APKs. Looking at one of the video's comment sections, we find our first major discovery. Many comments say that the video helped them a lot when it came to downloading the APK, but some say their screen went black, ads appeared, and that it had a virus, but no one mentions anything about a Chica jump scare, which makes it seem like this could all just be a version that had FNAF 2 with the Elite virus in it, but we can't know for sure, as we don't have enough information. That's why I decided to look at the Mila UPV store's comment section for the game, which I had found through the Wayback Machine, and there was nothing mentioning what the YouTube video's comments said. So I then shifted focus to the other store, Egare or however you say it, and I found the same thing. I found some videos of people downloading it and some of people even playing it, and apart from the missing apostrophe in Freddy's, it runs fine, except for this one video where the kid keeps getting ads in the middle of it. But the thing is, no one said anything about there being a virus in these videos comment sections, or even in the store's comment section. So unless we get a verified APK download from either of these stores, then we won't know if these are viruses or not. But since I had to use the Wayback Machine to go to a 2015 version of Aptoide, the APK download wasn't available or working, meaning I couldn't fact check it the way I was doing with the rest. So with this being said, I chalked up the one YouTube video's comments to be a coincidence and continued moving forward. With these two leads being dead ends for now, I started searching around more, and this is where my memory gets a little bit blurry regarding what I was looking for exactly and looking at. But eventually I was led to a popular Spanish YouTube channel called Prophecy X. This channel posts a lot of FNAF related videos and made a video over 2 years ago talking about the virus, so with the possibility of another lead, I took a look at the video. Due to it all being in Spanish, I will just explain the main points of interest throughout the video. During it, he explains the basic backstory behind the virus and just talks about it in length, but around the middle of the video, Prophecy shows us this screenshot. When translated, says this. Here's another fact: the FNAF 2 port to Android that pretended to be the official one and stole your data. This comes from 2015, when FNAF was at its peak, but several children believing that the game was already on free Android downloaded that APK, and once installed, only a photo of a girl without eyes was seen and the app closed by itself. Then you realize that all of your data on your phone was stolen and the phone literally appeared as factory reset. Keep this screenshot in the back of your mind, as it'll come up later and is actually one of the most important pieces of evidence for this case. Continuing to watch the video, Prophecy explains how they were able to find an Iceberg video where it talked about the virus, and shows a screenshot of it. Again, another lead, which will be very important for later, but the video wasn't done yet. As I continued to watch the video until the end, nothing else of notable interest seemed to appear, so I watched it 2 more times for safe measure, and still, nothing else to note. So I decided to check out his channel some more afterwards, and that is when I saw that Prophecy made a part 2 video just 9 months ago. Praying for some more leads and information, I watched part 2. This video had notably way more information than the last, showing off emails he got regarding people's testimonies, talking about the Iceberg again, and giving another in-depth explanation into the virus. But that was until the end of the video. You see, in the beginning of his video, he mentions that the real Stingray virus has been found, and at the end of the video, he starts to talk about some new evidence that came out recently that proves this. He talks about another YouTube channel called Neroni Hollow, and a video made by him regarding Stingray. So again, I watched another video and blah blah blah, you get the point. Neroni's video was very interesting to say the least, and talked a lot about what the virus was and etc. But then he began talking about another YouTube channel called Jonah, and how they posted real proof of the virus. The video Jonah posted shows them using an emulator called called BlueStacks to look at the app's configuration settings, and when doing so, the infamous image seen after being hacked by the Elite virus is seen. Now, I was stunned, as this was some of the most convincing proof of the virus we've seen yet. I mean, we have two major YouTubers talking about Jonah's video, and Jonah literally showing proof for the most part. So after this, I knew I had to get in contact with Jonah to see if the files were still available, so I commented on their video and waited. 10 hours later, and I got a response, and a friend request on Discord. It was Jonah. After some short introductions, I got down to business, and immediately began asking for their side of the story and how they found the APK, and if they had the files for it. Luckily, they had all the information we needed. Alright, so I'm gonna start with my story. First of all, everything started in May 2021, when Spanish FNAF YouTuber Prophecy X uploaded a video about FNAF Stingray. This started the whole trend in the Spanish community, and I would say a bit in the English one. This video was about the APK, which in the time was lost media, and how it worked along with many stories about it. This got my attention. Actually, it got the attention of a whole community who tried to contact the OP of the comment to get more information and a screenshot. This never happened, and the OP never sent the screenshot, so the APK started to be seen as a creepypasta until 2024. In 2023, supposed gameplay of FNAF Stingray got uploaded on YouTube. This gameplay got a lot of attention in this year, where the Spanish community started talking about it, but like a lot. People started to make videos, edits, and shorts about it. Basically, it was started to be seen as real again and not just a creepypasta. When I noticed this, it was weird for me, since the gameplay didn't match what the description was given to us for the APK from 2021. So I started to investigate about it. This is where my part starts. So when searching information for this, I talked with a lot of people in the Spanish community. That's when I found an English user who said that he knows the creator of the app. Thanks to him, I got the link to a Reddit post that had the APK, and also a lot of information that helped me to prove that Stingray is completely fake. First of all, I tested the Stingray app. Nothing happened. There was a black screen. I got a bit disappointed because I was thinking that there was going to be real gameplay. I kept trying, with hope that something would happen, but nothing. I was about to give up until I got the idea to start playing with the app configuration, because I noticed some weird stuff, like I couldn't close the app, or the configuration app was kind of not working well. I had to restart BlueStacks to use the configuration app properly. So I started to play with the configuration, and that's when I found the first piece of this big puzzle. When I tried to delete the cache of the app, this image appeared. With all this information, we now see a way clearer picture on the situation, and everything regarding Jonah's video. But that's not all. Shortly after this conversation, Jonah was able to find the link to the APK. This was it. This might actually be it. After all of this time, I was finally able to see if it was real. But before I did that, I needed to verify with Jonah what Reddit post originally had the APK. Luckily, I was able to find it after Jonah described some details of it, and now it was showtime. The Reddit post still existed, and the same link was found on it, and Jonah confirmed that everything was correct. So all I had to do was look through the files. So I sent all my findings to the Discord server, and then downloaded the APK on my old phone. So I downloaded the same virus I was talking about and that I shown, and to prove that it is my phone, it's a phone, so it doesn't really matter whose phone it is. But as you can see, look at TikTok is literally burned into the screen. But as you can see, all the same files, I opened it with WinRAR. You can even see you can see all the stuff right there. So download. All right, there's the APK. This is the extracted version, or the zipped version, as you can see. I downloaded it on September 16th, 2024. We click that, and it opens all the files. And as you see, we got a 2014 file in there, but we also have a 2022 and a 2022. And then the 2024 files are from when I downloaded it. Unfortunately, meaning this isn't the original. This has been tampered with in some way to include new files, and you don't need to play the game to know that this is fake, because the files show you it's fake. Yep, unfortunately, this was also fake, meaning many people's videos are now outdated and filled with misinformation. I'm just surprised it took us this long to debunk this, as all I did was zip the APK and then extract the files to find this out. I didn't even have to play it or anything. So after showing Jonah the proof, they sincerely apologized and said they didn't know, and that they were lied to by the Reddit post. But with Jonah's in-depth testimony on where the urban legend became popular from, them thinking it's fake, and also mentioning the screenshot from Prophecy X's video, we weren't at a complete dead end just yet. Again, thank you, Jonah, for everything you helped me with in this investigation, and if not for you, we wouldn't have been able to debunk this fake version of Stingray. Plus, with your testimony, it gave me way more insight on where to continue my investigation. But with all this out of the way, we had to keep moving forward. Again, back at square one. I needed to find the source of this virus and the claims of it. Fortunately, I still had the iceberg and the screenshot to look into from Prophecy's video, so I immediately got to work on that. I started at the screenshot as it was more promising and easy to reverse image search compared to the very low quality iceberg thumbnail featured in Prophecy's video, and when I did that, it took me to the source of this image. The source came from a Twitter post made on May 2nd of 2021 by a user named FNAF Lost, with the post saying this when translated. There's been a lot of talk about some sort of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 APK that contained a malicious virus that could delete all of your data and steal it, back in 2015. There are a lot of rumors about it, testimonies from people, but not much evidence. Have you heard about this APK? Then underneath the post is the same screenshot from Prophecy's video. Then, looking at the comments, people mentioned an iceberg chart that had the same description or screenshot. I'm not really too sure and I can't really remember. But I knew we were heading in the right direction, so I went back to Prophecy's video for more clues until I noticed something odd. His first video was posted one day after this Twitter account made their post with the screenshot. This immediately began to raise some questions on Prophecy X's validity, because was Prophecy already making the video beforehand and then somehow got the image after it was posted on Twitter, or was it floating around prior to the Twitter post? After all, to make a full edited video like he did in less than a day is almost impossible, especially with the majority of the information being about the screenshotted comment. It just makes it all very hard to believe if you catch my drift. All of this, along with him talking about Neroni's video that is now outdated due to the debunked APK from Jonah, made me start to think that this was all some elaborate scheme to get views. But before I made any significant accusations, I had to just keep looking into this. Now, since there wasn't any more leads regarding the screenshot, but since there seemed to be connections to it and Iceberg, I knew that this screenshot and Iceberg was the key to solving this mystery once and for all. So after some time of reverse image searching, I was able to find a re-upload of the Iceberg video. The Iceberg video was about Android viruses, games, and media, and in the part 2 version of this re-upload, we finally found the elusive Iceberg once and for all. In the video description, it says that the original one was uploaded in December of 2020, making this video the first ever mention of the virus ever, at least the first ever mention that is still actively available on the internet. But then after the small victory in the investigation, I was absolutely blindsided by the contents of what was in this video. The FNAF 2 segment is word for word the exact same as what the screenshot said, and with this revelation, I was completely confused and lost, as yes, both of these were connected and related, but what came first, the screenshot or the video? Hell, everything led back to these two things, and none of them even mentioned the name Stingray, so where did that come from? So with more questions than answers, I knew there was one last-ditch effort attempt to get these pieces to connect, and the only way I knew how I'd be able to get that to happen was by getting in contact with Prophecy, because doing so would allow us to figure out how he was able to make his video a day after his screenshot got posted, and much more. So I commented on his video and waited for a response. As I waited for him to respond back to me, I found something else very interesting on his part 1 video that I have previously missed. He had pinned a comment from 3 years ago that had 1.7k likes, which when translated said this: "Hello, how are you? I'm the creator of the comment about the app that steals data. The truth is that it is not fake. The application was real in 2014 in the Aptoid store. There was a time it was in that store. Now the user has also been unsubscribed. I remember that its name was Stingray with Arabic numbers and letters. I have a very blurry screenshot that I rescued. It looks too pixelated. But I have an image that can recreate what it looked like in Aptoid and the interface of what I saw and how it was. It was my mistake to download the game since I agreed to accept that it could access all my photos and data on my phone. It was a Samsung, I remember it well. Warning, I can recreate a screenshot since the one I have is too blurry." Supposedly, this user was the same person who made the screenshotted comment, and to my knowledge, this pinned comment is the first ever mention of the name Stingray, like ever. They also mentioned how they were going to recreate a screenshot of the app since the one they had was too blurry. So scrolling through the replies of this comment, I also found that they made a reply comment 9 months ago, where they say that they sent a screenshot to Prophecy, and that the jump scare that they saw was of a Splink model Chica, which was prominently featured in a lot of early SFM animations back in the day. With all this new information, I was still skeptical as this reply comment was made 1 month before his part 2 video, so why didn't Prophecy show the recreation screenshot if he got it sent by this user? Also, modding FNAF 2 Mobile Edition to have a completely new asset wasn't even possible back then because of the game's coding. On PC it might have been, but even then it was still terrible and very hard to do. Then also, in the pinned comment, they mentioned that the game was from 2014, when in the original screenshotted comment they said that it was from 2015. Along with all of this, how how would they have a screenshot if the app factory reset your phone? They specifically said screenshot, not that they recorded with an external device or phone or anything like that. But instead they said screenshot. Then them saying that the screenshot they had was too blurry made me ask, well, how? If it somehow got corrupted and it was somehow still saved on your phone, then it's most likely not going to end up becoming blurry, but not even viewable in the first place. And then that's after your phone got factory reset. So with taking all this into account, their story was just highly skeptical. But then that's when I got a message on Discord, and it was prophecy. So with all these questions needing to be answered, I proceeded to do the same thing I did with Jonah and started interrogating him for the truth. I knew we were close to finding the truth out, so I asked him these 3 main questions that were essential for the case. Where did you get the screenshot? Do you know if the pinned comment posted on your Stingray video is a legitimate claim / source? And lastly, did you get a screenshot / recreation photo sent to you by the commenter? And this was his response to my questions, and it's a lot, so just be ready for this info dump. Okay, I believe this comment comes from a post made in my community section a long time ago. However, I can't quite remember if it's coming from a post or a comment made on a video. The guy says he's the one who made that comment, either way, but I can't find the comment. If I can find it, I'll pass you the evidence, since the YouTube comment search engine is pretty bad. Also, to clarify why I didn't put his name in the first screenshot, well, I don't really remember, but I cut the image wrong and then had a hard time finding the comment, so I had to use only the comment without the user. Posts like these where they talk about genuinely fictional stuff in the case of Stingray, there are many, not just this one, but I can tell you that there is a serious case of Mandela effect or mass hysteria. What do I mean by this? Well, basically, I believe that many of the testimonies are not entirely true and come from experiences told by other friends or that they saw from somewhere else, ended up being not real. To this date, there is no evidence of the existence of a ghost girl or a girl with no eyes that appeared in a pirated phone part of FNAF. Actually, in fact, this is factually impossible, and I will explain this in another message. I don't think I received that recreation. Anyways, I could search my mail to try and see if I have it. I admit that many emails related to the Stingray case I didn't open as I was afraid of the whole virus thing. Yes, I was afraid that a cell phone virus would hit my computer. Now, with these 3 questions thoroughly answered, we then proceeded to talk about this mystery some more, and I showed him all of my findings and evidence up until where we are right now in this case. We also talked about how modding FNAF 2 Mobile is basically impossible to have a girl with no eyes jump scare, due to it being a closed source game, meaning that the source code is not publicly available and can only be changed by Scott Cawthon himself. After these conversations, I began thinking and realized I still had one more major question for him. Okay, so I need something clarified for my video. You took this screenshot and then used it in your first FNAF Stingray video, correct? Also, can you confirm that this user from this screenshot is the same that you pinned in your first video's pinned comment? After asking him this question, he shows me a screenshot of him actually owning the FNAF Lost Twitter page, meaning it would make sense that he did take the screenshot and was able to use it in his part 1 video. So after hours of him looking for the source of where he took the screenshot from, we finally were able to confirm that the pinned commenter was the same person in the first screenshot, as he sent over this image, which is the exact same comment as the pinned comment. The username, profile picture, and everything aligns. So now we know they weren't lying about being the same commenter, but we still had to find the source of it, which Prophecy didn't have. And during all this, I also mentioned and showed Prophecy the reply comment where they claimed to have sent a screenshot to him, where he confirmed that he couldn't find it anywhere on any of his emails, DMs, and etc. He said that if the commenter wanted him to see it, they would have said where they sent it, but they were being vague, so we probably think that they were just lying. With all these other questions answered, we were still at a roadblock. Who made what first? Where did they get their information from? And how do we get in contact with them? Both of us were beginning to think that Stingray was a hoax, but even after that, we discovered that there was still more that made us think we found our answer. And that was when we took another look at the Iceberg creator's channel. He made a community post where he said this, and to think that this individual indirectly started the FNAF 2 Stingray mess. It's me, with a picture of him. This was not a good look, and it only got worse as we found a comment from him that said this. I talked about the FNAF data stealer, and some YouTubers talked about the topic too, and then they changed the name on TikTok to Stingray. Remember what I said earlier about how the Iceberg and screenshotted comment never mentioned anything about Stingray, and that the first mention of it was from the pinned comment left on Prophecy's first video? Well, even he somewhat acknowledges this, meaning that the name came from a very untrustworthy source, and due to Prophecy pinning that comment, it's actually all Prophecy's fault. Just kidding, but you get my point. If it weren't for that pinned comment, this Stingray thing might not have even existed. After we unraveled all this, we realized we were looking the beast right in its eyes, but we just weren't 100% sure on our evidence since we couldn't get in contact with those two. And just like what Jonah said to me in their testimony, the whole community tried to get in contact with the commenter for more information and the screenshot, which no one was able to. So with all this being said, this is Prophecy's theory on what he thinks actually happened. A random guy creates a video of an iceberg making up a fake story about a FNAF mobile port with a virus. People believe it. Someone makes a comment confirming this story with absolutely no proof at all. They send it to me and take a screenshot of this comment. They send it to me and I take a screenshot of this comment. They send it to me or I take a screenshot of this comment. I make the video sharing the misinformation from the iceberg and the comment. I pin the comment of the author and he creates a random name for this virus, which was Stingray. Someone recreates the virus in 2023. Supposedly the case is solved, but it was just a recreation made up in 2023. And with this, it all started to make sense. If true, this is the greatest gaslight, urban legend, hoax, or whatever you want to call it in FNAF history, even bigger than the Talbot Files situation, and we were at ground zero of it. But then, just like that, with all this information and all these leads, we couldn't move any further in our case. These two leads are our best bets at finding the truth of this virus, but even with all this evidence, we still can't be 100% sure on anything unless we get them to tell us the truth. Even Google searching before 2021 shows absolutely nothing regarding a FNAF 2 virus anywhere on the internet. So unless I missed something throughout my investigation, or just completely ignored something or something like that, then these two people are our best bets at fully knowing the truth behind Stingray. Even with all this evidence, and with how solid and conclusive it all looks, we will never be 100% sure on if this is the true end of the story, and I believe that this investigation is far from over. There's still many questions left unanswered, like where did all these new claims come from? Is this all just a Mandela effect? Maybe mass hysteria? I mean, there's so many theories about this that who knows, there's so much. So with all that being said, if you want to help this investigation or look into it yourself, all of the links for everything is in the description, along with the Discord server link if you want to join and help them, because without Swapperfishy12 and his server, this video wouldn't be possible. Same goes with Prophecy, Jonah, and everyone else. Icebergs, one of YouTube's latest content phenomenons. Now, unless you've been living under a rock like Patrick the Star does in SpongeBob, you should know what an iceberg chart or iceberg explained video is. And by reading the title, you should know what the iceberg video is about. Today, I compiled some of the most obscure and random Five Nights at Freddy's hoaxes and rumors that I could find online. And for the people that don't know how an iceberg chart works, well, here is a 10-second rundown. The top of the chart is very well-known information, and going down, it becomes more and more obscure. But in this case, I also gauged the chart on how scary some of these entries are. So once we start getting to the bottom of them, some of them start to become more obscure and more disturbing. You know, when I see people do icebergs videos, like they take like 2 minutes to explain it, even though it is literally a 5-second thing to explain. I don't understand why people do that, but anyways. Now, I know I said a bunch of this stuff on this iceberg is supposed to be obscure hoaxes and rumors, but for the people that aren't really into FNAF, we're going to be going over some of the most common and super popular hoaxes and rumors that were very prevalent during the first couple of Five Nights at Freddy's games, just so, you know, some people that aren't that into the know about Five Nights at Freddy's could, well, get some basic hoax information and get a nice base plate. But for the OG fans, these first couple of layers might be very nostalgic for you guys. So let's get into the first layer. Sparky the Dog. Sparky the Dog is a hoax created for Five Nights at Freddy's 1, and it was said that this was the very first Five Nights at Freddy's hoax ever made. People said that there was a very rare chance that you would see this animatronic in the backstage camera, and it would function like a bunch of the other Easter eggs in this game, where there would be a rare chance to see a Easter egg on screen, kind of just like how you would see the Golden Freddy poster on your camera. It would have a very rare chance to appear. Sparky the Dog is the most known and most notably one of the most popular Five Nights at Freddy's hoaxes ever made, as even people that never played the Five Nights at Freddy's games probably know about this. And quick little fun fact too, Scott Cawthon, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, was originally going to implement a wolf-like animatronic in place of Foxy, so this hoax actually kind of pays homage to that wolf character. Main stage all stare. Now this is referencing this image, and no, this image isn't a hoax. It does exist, but well, it's kind of a rumor. Let me explain. So the people that know about this image knows what this image is and has probably seen it multiple times before, as it was featured in the first Five Nights at Freddy's 1 teaser trailer. And people just thought that this was in the actual game, but guess what? It never was. In the Five Nights at Freddy's community, this is speculated to be one of the main and only Mandela effects in the entire franchise, as people vividly remember seeing the screen during their playthrough of the game, but it was actually never in any of the games. So some people started to speculate that it was only in the mobile ports of the game and that's where they saw it from, but guess what? It wasn't there either. The picture can be found in the files in the game, but was actually never used. It was only seen in the trailer. But anyways, it's a very big rumor and hoax that this was actually in the game when it never was. Phantom Bonnie. Phantom Bonnie is a hoax animatronic that first appeared in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, and people thought that this animatronic was actually in the game since there was no Bonnie Bonnie in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Now, I mean, Springtrap is based off of the Spring Bonnie suit in FNAF, so technically there was Bonnie in the game, it just wasn't the one that we were all used to. But as I said, Phantom Bonnie was never in the game, but it was a very popular hoax for Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Shadow Man Cam. This is based off of a popular hoax video for Five Nights at Freddy's 2 when the game first released. It was said that if you looked in the main hallway character for quite some time that you would actually see a silhouette of a Shadow Man on the camera. But the video was just a hoax and garnered a bunch of attention, which made a lot of people think it was real. But in all actuality, this hoax was based off of the puppet screen that you can see. If you let the music box run all the way down till the music starts playing and the puppet leaves the box, you can actually see the puppet hallucination on this camera. So I mean, this hoax is kind of based off a real thing, but the Shadow Man version of it isn't real. Purple Man jump scare. This hoax is referencing another YouTube video that got very popular for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The video was about a reported jump scare of the purple guy that you could get in the game, and this was also a very popular hoax at the time that a bunch of people probably know. Now, since people didn't know the importance of Purple Guy in the series yet, except that he exploited some children, this character is very ominous and creepy, and people began to make a bunch of hoaxes about him. And this was one, if not the most popular hoax about the Purple Guy. But in my personal opinion, I think the next hoax on this list was the most popular Purple Guy hoax ever. So let's get into that one. Purple Guy Animatronic. Everyone should know what this picture is. Even if you don't know what Five Nights at Freddy's is or never even played the game series, you guys should have seen, or well, at least know this picture. This is the Purple Guy Animatronic. This is one, if not the most popular Five Nights at Freddy's hoax other than Sparky the Dog in all of Five Nights at Freddy's existence. Everyone was making videos about this strange animatronic that would appear in your office in the same spot that Golden Freddy or Balloon Boy did. Now obviously it was never true, but this actually started a bunch of mods where you would replace Golden Freddy for the Purple Guy animatronic, which also helped fuel the myth and legend of this character even more. And I just want to say this hoax terrified me when I was younger. I was so afraid to see this thing in my playthrough that I almost stopped playing the game after I heard about it. I don't know why, I guess it was just very unsettling for me, and it's actually still kind of creepy to this day. Gray Puppet. The Gray Puppet is a hoax from Five Nights at Freddy's 2 that was also based off of another YouTube video. Dang, we got 3 hoaxes in a row that were based off of a YouTube video. I gotta go buy like a lottery ticket or something. Anyways, instead, a very weird phenomenon happened in this video about this hoax. In the video, the audio cue that played during one of the FNAF 2 minigames that say save them plays throughout this video. As the guy is surviving throughout the night, this audio is playing in the background. And after the audio cue was over, the puppet jump scared him, but it was great. Now in the video, it made this whole occurrence very mysterious and very unsettling, as if it were normal to gameplay. And since it seemed like a very real hoax, people believed it. It actually seemed like something that could happen during normal gameplay of FNAF 2. But other than that, there's not much more information about this hoax. It's just a fake YouTube video that got very popular. Freedom. Freedom isn't a hoax, and it's not really that much of a rumor. I mean, I guess you can consider it a rumor, but it was debunked fairly quick. Now what this is referencing is when the FNAF 2 trailer came out and the jump scare from Foxy at the end of it was played, people thought that it actually sounded like Foxy was screaming freedom during the jump scare. Here, I'll play it for you guys. Did you guys hear it? I mean, if you really think about it and really tried to listen for it, maybe you could hear a hint of it, but in my opinion, it's a stretch. People thought these animatronics were trying to escape the pizzeria, and in actuality, that's not the case. People just thought that's what they said, even though it doesn't sound like that one bit. Plus, that's just reaching pretty far, especially when the trailer first came out and like people didn't know much about the game. But talking about reaching far when it comes to something in the FNAF 2 trailer, the next entry we're about to get into is also about something that was, well, a very far stretch in the FNAF 2 trailer. So let's get into it. Mike Kill All. And as I said, this is one of those things that were in the FNAF 2 trailer that people reached very far for. Mike Kill All is referencing the FNAF 2 trailer, and when this trailer came out, as I mentioned, people really started to theorize and think of a bunch of different things for the next Five Nights at Freddy's game. The hype was real, and to try and get some answers behind the Five Nights at Freddy's lore, this rumor was based off at the beginning of the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 trailer, where if you reverse the London Bridge part of the song, you can actually hear the children saying Mike Kill All reversed. And for the people that don't know, you play as Mike Schmidt in the first FNAF game, and people thought that Mike killed the children and stuffed them into the suits, and that's why they were attacking him in the first game. But as more games released, we realized that wasn't the case and that William Afton acted or unleashed those kids. So as more games came out, this hoax and rumor was laid to rest. FNAF 3 canceled. Now for a short bit here, people thought that FNAF 3 was actually going to be canceled, and that was because of a fake leak that was made online about the game. And well, there was also a very bad fake Five Nights at Freddy's 3 fan game that used a bunch of stolen assets from other games, including previous first FNAF games. So because of all of that, it was said that the game was going to be canceled by Scott and that it wasn't going to come out. Now this isn't actually really a rumor and a hoax, at least this part isn't, because this was officially announced by Scott Cawthon that the game wasn't going to be released and it was going to be canceled. But I guess we couldn't consider it a hoax if that was the case, because while it was never canceled, we did get a fake FNAF 3 game, but I guess it really wasn't a hoax back then. Nowadays we obviously know it wasn't a hoax because the game did come out. But no, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 wasn't canceled. Withered Toys. The Withered Toys was a hoax for FNAF 3 in which people saw the first teaser for the box of animatronic parts. People thought that we would be seeing the withered versions of those animatronics. I mean, the toy animatronics weren't withered, but I mean the withered ones were withered, but that's not what I meant. I also remember hearing a hoax about the toy animatronics slowly degrading over the course of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and they would eventually become like Mangle and become withered and destroyed, but that was short-lived because it was obviously not true. Just play the game and you'll see that they don't get withered over time. Shadow BB. Shadow Balloon Boy is a hoax in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 mobile edition, and it's pretty obvious what this hoax is about. People said that there was a shadow version of Balloon Boy that could be found in this mobile version of the game, and this very popular hoax image came out online of the supposed Shadow Balloon Boy. Now we should all know that this isn't true, but some people actually believe that Shadow Balloon Boy is actually hidden in the files of FNAF 2, or at least the mobile version, and is still there to this day. Fake teasers. Now I put this one here because it's a very broad subject for Five Nights at Freddy's hoaxes, and even if you haven't seen all of them, you've probably at least seen one of these fake Five Nights at Freddy's teasers, and this one is actually one of the most popular ones. This one includes a fake Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic, also known as New Freddy, and people would copy and paste this animatronic into a bunch of their fake teasers. And well, there's also another very popular one that we can't forget about that we're going to talk about in the next entry, Freddyland. Now one of those said fake teasers was a Freddyland, and this teaser was originally for Five Nights at Freddy's 3. This fake image surfaced online sometime before FNAF 3 had its own official trailer, and people thought this was the real official trailer for FNAF 3. There was multiple theories of where this game was going to be located at, and well, this theory made people believe that it was going to take place in a whole amusement park, or well, maybe a carnival, but something along the lines of that. This was a very popular hoax image, and I bet people that never even played the game have probably seen this teaser before. Now all of those hoaxes and rumors were fairly well known, especially among the FNAF community. Just like how I said earlier, even if you guys aren't that much involved in the FNAF community, you guys have probably seen these. Even if you're brand new fans, you guys should know about these. And I mean, I remember these also very vividly. I mean, I was an OG FNAF fan. I was a fan ever since the first Markiplier video came out about the games. But regardless of that, we're gonna start to get into layer 2. These ones are pretty popular, but aren't as popular as the ones in layer 1 are. These ones are fairly well known, but also some people might not know of these, so let's get right into layer 2. Cupcake can blink. Now, as I said earlier, I was searching through a bunch of forum pages and Reddit pages for all of these FNAF hoaxes and rumors about Five Nights at Freddy's. And well, this Five Nights at Freddy's hoax actually has two variants of it. The first variant of this hoax was encountered in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, where people said you could occasionally see the cupcake blink, and you would most likely see this when you just put your camera down, and only people with a very keen and fast eye could catch it. But obviously this wasn't true. And in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the other variant of this hoax was that you could also see the cupcake blink in that game. There was a YouTube video that surfaced online of someone seeing the cupcake blink. Now this video was obviously fake, but a bunch of people did believe it at the time. Other than that, there's not much more information to go on about this. Freddy handprint in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. In one of the Five Nights at Freddy's images, I'm not too sure which one it was. I think it might have been a mobile icon for Five Nights at Freddy's 1, or maybe something else. There was this image of Freddy Fazbear, and as you can see on this image, there's actually a slight handprint, or at least that's kind of what it looks like, on front of Freddy Fazbear's face. And now, I mean, this isn't really a hoax or rumor because you can clearly see that it's right there. But the hoax and rumor that came out about this image was that Freddy Fazbear caused the bite of 87. Now, as most FNAF fans know, no one actually 100% knows who caused the bite of 87. Most people theorize that it was one of the toy animatronics like Toy Bonnie or Mangle, but people at the very beginning of Five Nights at Freddy's believed that Freddy Fazbear was the reason or the perpetrator behind the bite of 87. FNAF 3 Free Roam. Now this one is obviously pretty easy to determine what's fake about it. As you can see in this image above, this fake image came out when Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was about to get released, and in this image you can actually see what looks like to be free roam for Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Now this one is actually very easy to determine if it's fake or not. I mean, it just looked really bad, it doesn't look good, and I mean, it's one of the first images to showcase something that looks like free roam. And this image was actually part of a very big Five Nights at Freddy's 3 leak that wasn't real. And in this leak there was a bunch of supposed images that were gonna be in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, like animatronics, teasers, and etc. And even the Freddyland teaser that I mentioned earlier was in this big leak. So people thought that this was actually a real thing that was gonna be in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. And it looked like it was actually actually going to take place in the first Five Nights at Freddy's 1 game pizzeria. Now, we all know this isn't true, but before the game came out, this was a very popular hoax and rumor. Chica moved the paper pal. Now, this one isn't necessarily a hoax, as no one is 100% sure about why this happens in the game. But in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, you can see Withered Chica or Toy Chica standing right next to the paper pal in one of the party rooms. And people began to theorize that these animatronics were responsible for moving the paper pal. I mean, they stand right next to it, so I mean, I can believe why people thought this. And as I was doing more research about this topic, people said that most of the time after seeing these animatronics right next to the paper pal, once they put their camera down, the paper pal would actually be in their office. Now, I mean, I don't know if these accounts are true or not, but it is something to think about. Sugar the cat. Now, most OG FNAF fans know who this is. Now, there's a bunch of pieces of media that this character was in, especially like its main franchise. But most importantly, this character was used in the fake Five Nights at Freddy's 3 fan game. But the main hoax about this character came about in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. In the prize corner area where you crank the music box, you can actually see a silhouette that looks like a cat. Now, no, there's not an actual hidden animatronic there, it's just a silhouette. But people did think this was homage or reference to the games. Now, I don't know if that game came out before Five Nights at Freddy's 2 or reverse, but who knows? People just thought that this was a homage or an actual Easter egg or an actual hidden character in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Salvage / Fred Shop animatronic. Now, people that watch my videos, yeah, we're gonna be talking about this animatronic again. This is like the third video that this animatronic has been featured in, but I mean, oh well, that's just how it goes. But before I tell you guys some information about it, I did make a full-length video about this animatronic that you guys should go check out. I'm not gonna go into as much detail as I did in that video, so after this video is over, go check it out. And I also featured him in a little segment in this video, so you guys should both go check out those videos after this one's over. But I will go over a quick synopsis for right now for the people that want the information on this character. But I won't go into full detail, so you guys will have to watch my other video. But Salvage / Fred Trap is the name of a supposed animatronic in FNAF 3 that people thought was gonna be in the game. Now, the first ever FNAF 3 teaser kinda shows an animatronic that doesn't necessarily look like Springtrap. At least in my eyes, it doesn't. So who knows, maybe Scott redesigned the character. But anyways, people thought that the animatronic in the teaser was actually different than the one in the main game, which created the hoax of Fred Trap. But if you guys want more information, go check out my main video about it. You'll get a ton there. Yeah, I know that last entry was kind of a low ball, but oh well, I gotta get that watch time in, baby. Anyways, I'm assuming most of you guys knew a decent amount of those entries in the last layer, as most of them are fairly well known. But now, as we move on to layer 3, we start to go into some of the more forgotten hoaxes and rumors about FNAF. But if you're an OG fan, you guys should still know most of these anyways, so let's get into it. Puppet TV screen / possessed plushies. Now, this one's actually kind of popular. Well, I mean, I guess it's a tad bit forgotten, but this image leaked online shortly after FNAF 2 was released. And as you can see, all the plushies on the desk have white dotted eyes as if they were possessed, and the screens behind them have static on them with the puppet on screen. Now, I can't originally find where this image was posted at, but I'm assuming that the post caption or something along the lines of it was that this was a rare Easter egg that this person encountered. Because I don't know where else you would find something like this other than if it was an Easter egg. But no, this isn't true, but it would be kind of cool if it was. Cupcake is a camera. Now, this one's pretty obvious. It was speculated that in FNAF 1 that the cupcake was actually a camera to spy on you. Now, I mean, who would be watching you though? The theory probably didn't get along that far because, I mean, like, it just doesn't really make sense. I mean, maybe, like, you know, it's a hive mind and all the animatronics can see, you know, blah, 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 blah. I don't really know. But, you know, that's probably because it's a far-fetched and kind of obscure theory. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe it really is a camera. Also, I guess this theory also kind of goes along for every FNAF game that has a cupcake in it. But, I mean, this one was particularly for the first one, but, you know, it could be included into every other game. So, I really don't know what else to say about this one. Bite of 87 cutscene custom night. Now, I also actually featured this hoax in another one of my videos. And that video is the most forgotten FNAF hoax video. But I will also give you guys a quick synopsis, just like how I did for the Fred Trap entry. But anyways, this hoax started in FNAF 1 and existed actually before the Golden Freddy Easter egg, in which you would put 1987 into the custom night menu and you would get the Golden Freddy cutscene. So people speculated that if you put this code in that you would actually get a cutscene of the Bite of 87. But Scott actually caught wind of this rumor and then proceeded to put the Golden Freddy Easter egg afterwards. People also thought that this was an Easter egg in FNAF 2, but I won't go into detail about that here. You guys will just have to watch my forgotten hoax video after this one. Golden Freddy poster in FNAF 2. This one's very self-explanatory. People speculated that in the prize counter corner that one of the posters on rare occasion would change into Golden Freddy and will work the same way as it did in the first Five Nights at Freddy's game, where you would see it on rare occasion once you open the camera. Now, obviously this one isn't true because I'm pretty sure a bunch of people would see it, especially with how many times you have to open and close the camera throughout the nights to do the music box. But who knows, maybe it's actually in the game somewhere. It's not. Withered Bonnie with a face in FNAF 3. This one is also very self-explanatory. People thought that Withered Bonnie would be in FNAF 3 somewhere, or at least a phantom version of it would be. And people speculated that he would be in the game and would have his face, unlike how he is in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And there was a leaked image of Withered Bonnie with his face in the fake FNAF 3 image leak. But I don't know why people would have believed it, because the image looked really bad and low quality and just didn't look realistic. But I mean, I guess those FNAF fans were really desperate back in the old days. Nightmare JJ Easter egg in FNAF 4. Just like how JJ shows up in FNAF 2, people speculate that since there was a Nightmare Balloon Boy variant, that there would also be a Nightmare JJ. Now this one was actually a very believable hoax, as the images that were online of this hoax looked very realistic. And for the first time in this video, I would say if you believe that this hoax was real, you weren't the only person. I mean, I guess, you know, the Sparky the Dog hoax was very believable too, but that's not the point. As hoaxes started to become worse and worse throughout the game franchise, it was very rare for a hoax, especially from FNAF 4, to be so believable. I mean, just look at these images. They're actually really good, especially for a hoax that was all the way in FNAF 4. Pair of eyes in Balloon Boy. In FNAF 2, when Balloon Boy enters your office, people looked very closely into his mouth and saw, well, what looked like to be a pair of eyes. Now, while looking at it, you can actually kind of see eyeballs. And well, people believe that Balloon Boy was stuffed with a child because of this. But I mean, look at how thin his neck is. I just don't think that'd be possible. Plus, bro is too short and stubby for a child to be stuck in there. But this isn't really necessarily a hoax. I would say this is more of a rumor, because we've actually never got a confirmed reason of what was inside of Balloon Boy to make this weird shadow, or well, whatever this is. Chrome Freddy. Chrome Freddy was a hoax for FNAF 3, created by the very popular YouTuber Jimbathy. And well, I'm not gonna go into detail, I'm just gonna show you the video.
After a while, if you just dick around with the cameras, eventually Chrome Freddy will come and put you in his mouth. It's totally
FNAF 3 troll game Springlock music. Yeah, this title's a little bit confusing, I know, I made the Iceberg, but I'll explain it. So since FNAF 3 was supposedly leaked and cancelled, Scott made this troll game, and in typical Scott fashion as well. And as his FNAF fans believed, it was gonna be the real game, and it wasn't. But anyways, that's not the point. The main menu music for this troll game was actually originally the music that was supposed to be used in FNAF 3. And well, this music is actually very disturbing. Now, one of the rumors that revolved around this strange, disturbing menu music was that the game was actually going to take place in a sewer, because it sounded like dripping water and something that you would hear in a sewer. But my own personal opinion and theory on this topic is that it's the sound of William Afton after being springlocked and dying alone in the safe room. Here, take a listen and tell me what you think. Does it sound like a sewer or a spring lock? I mean, it could sound like both. In my personal opinion, I'd like to believe that this is what it sounded like after William Afton was spring locked. Now, as we move further down the iceberg, I hope that you guys didn't know most of the entries on that last layer, because some of those were actually kind of obscure and, well, weren't that very well known. I mean, some were, but most of them weren't. I kind of tried to go in the middle there, where some were obscure and some were also really well known. But now, as we move down, we're going to start to get into some of the more obscure ones and some of the kind of disturbing ones. I had to look pretty hard for these ones, so I hope you guys don't know these ones that much. Puppet TV screen / possessed plushies. Wait, didn't I just do this one? Oh, I guess I put it in twice. Whoops, my bad. Here's a cookie instead, my bad. Bad's Bunker Theory and Sister Location. Now this rumor / hoax / theory came in 5 Nights at Freddy's sister location. After people found out where the game was taking place at, in an underground facility, people thought that the game would actually take place in a post-apocalyptic world. And people thought that Freddy Fazbear Entertainment actually started to make bunkers, kind of like how Vault-Tec does in the Fallout games, if you know what that is. Obviously, that was kind of a stretch, but some people did believe that this game was going to take place in one of those Freddy Fazbear bunkers during the apocalypse. Now, other than that, I can't find any more information on it now, since every single piece of information I find is just about people clowning on this theory. But I do remember this hoax / theory being very popular when FNAF Sister Location was announced. 6666 Custom Night Kitchen Camera. It was rumored that if you put 666 in the custom night menu and start the night, you would actually be able to see the kitchen camera. And while since in FNAF 1 you can't see the camera, people always wondered what was in there. People wondered if the Golden Freddy was in there, or who knows. But no, this one obviously isn't true. Funtime Chica. Now this hoax isn't actually based off of the real Funtime Chica. This hoax is about a fake Sister Location teaser that included a Funtime Chica design. The image on screen, as you can see, is what this hoax was. But when the first couple of teasers started to come out for Sister Location, this teaser was very believable at the time. But who knows, maybe it's the reason we have the Funtime Chica that we have today. Nightmare Spring Bonnie. In 5 Nights at Freddy's 4, people thought that Nightmare Spring Bonnie or Nightmare Springtrap was in the game. This hoax and rumor became popular after the Halloween update came out and introduced a bunch more Nightmare characters, which people thought that this hoax was one of them. There's some hoax images online, but they're not really that good, and I don't know what made this hoax become a thing or just why people believed it in general, but yeah. Flip Trap. Now this one's actually kind of interesting, and this is one of FNAF's most recent hoaxes. And well, it's one that actually a bunch of people kind of believe, despite of how recent it is. Now before I get into it, I tried to find a bunch of information on this, and I really couldn't. I couldn't even find any pictures of this hoax online except this one. But from all that I could gather, Flip Trap is a fake animatronic that was based around Burn Trap, or maybe it was Glitch Trap, I'm not really too 100% sure. But anyways, this hoax was based off of one of these these animatronics and was a cut version or alternative version of it. Now I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I do not know if this is true or not because I couldn't find that much information online about this, so if I got any information wrong, which I'm pretty sure I did, please tell me in the comment section below as I want to know more about this hoax. Shadow animatronics are night guards. This is a theory for FNAF 2 and it's about the shadow animatronics, obviously. This is one of my personal favorite theories as this one could be plausible. This rumor just states that the shadow animatronics are hallucinations brought on from dead night guards that worked previous shifts and died, or are just souls of dead night guards and etc. Now looking back, this could be true, which makes this theory slash rumor way more interesting, and is still pretty cool to think about, and was way more popular when the game first came out. Real life Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Now everyone should know about this hoax, and I don't know why I put it so far down, but oh well, I guess I did. Just ignore that. But this hoax is very easy to explain, as an image surfaced online shortly after the first FNAF game came out. And well, this is it. I bet all of you guys have seen this image at least once. People thought that this was a real image, and well, I mean, who can blame them? Springtrap is Golden Foxy. Now this hoax slash rumor is talking about the first Five Nights at Freddy's 3 teaser. As I mentioned in the earlier entry, Fredtrap was a hoax revolving around the first Five Nights at Freddy's 3 teaser, as no one knew who Springtrap was or what animatronic it was based off of. So some people actually believed that this was a version of Foxy that was golden. Now this hoax died out pretty quickly, especially after the Fredtrap theory started to come around. But I would say that some people did believe this for quite a very long time, and there's even a little bit of fan art about this character, which means it did get a tiny bit popular even if I've never heard about it until I did research for this video. Well, I hope you guys learned about some new hoaxes and rumors in that layer because, well, I know I did. Now some of those entries are pretty creepy and honestly kind of unsettling and disturbing. I know the first couple of layers didn't have that many creepy hoaxes involved in them, but now we're gonna start to get into some of the more weird, strange, and kind of disturbing entries on this list. So let's get into them. FNAF 4 took place in a museum slash auction house. This entry brought back some serious memories. This rumor slash theory was about where the FNAF 4 game was going to be taking place at. And after the first Five Nights at Freddy's 4 trailer came out, people started to think that these animatronics were in an auction house or auctioned off to the player's house. I mean, in the first trailer, you can see a house and the animatronics are roaming around in it. So people believe that some people bought these animatronics either as memorabilia or etc. And well, they were still possessed and were still coming to kill you. Another popular version of this hoax is that the game was going to take place in a museum. Now this version of the hoax came out before the trailer came out, because as we can see, the game took place in a house from the trailer and it just wouldn't make sense. But when the first couple of teasers were posted on Scott's website, people were really into that idea that after the third game when Fazbear's Frights got burned down, a bunch of memorabilia was getting auctioned off and sold, which is why the game took place in a museum. Now imagine that, like a night at the museum game, but instead of it being related to the movie franchise, it was all Five Nights at Freddy's. The idea is very unique and I feel like would run pretty well with the storyline or for its own unique side storyline. I don't know, but this is one of my favorite theories slash rumors that I kind of wish was experimented on in more fan games or in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise in general. Screw security breach, put that stuff in a museum, make the story around it being auctioned off and it still being haunted, and boom, that would be a terrifying game. Mike Trap. Before Springtrap was confirmed to be William Afton, people actually thought that the corpse inside was Michael Afton, and people called this hoax version of Springtrap Mike Trap. Well, there's actually another version of this hoax that is more popular and well known than that version, and that version of the hoax is when you get stuffed in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Some people named this animatronic Mike Trap, especially after FNAF 3 came out. People thought that this was almost like the same thing as Springtrap, except just a different animatronic suit. And it would have been the same thing basically, puppet reflection in window. Now this one doesn't have that much information around it except a simple image. In Five Nights at Freddy's 4, you could see on the right hallway there's a window, and while looking out the door to see the hallway, once you flash your flashlight on, people thought that you could actually see the puppet outside of the window. And well, let me just show you the screenshot. I mean, you can kind of see an eyeball, you can't really see anything else, but I guess I do understand where these people are coming from. Maybe it's true, I don't know, it's a bit far-fetched, but you never know. It could have been foreshadowing Nightmare Yon in the Halloween update, but honestly, I think that's stretching pretty far too, so I don't know. You'd have to escape after every night in FNAF 3. Now this is an awesome hoax, and I really wish this was implemented into one of the games somehow. Now I don't know why people thought this was a thing, especially since this hoax was only just for Five Nights at Freddy's 3, but before the game came out, people speculated that you would actually have to escape Fazbear Frights every night to beat the night. So you would do your shift, and then afterwards you would have to escape. I mean, I guess this rumor and hoax could go for any Five Nights at Freddy's game, but apparently this one got super popular for FNAF 3, and while I think people just wanted to have a free roam game at that point, it's still a very unique hoax, and I wish this was implemented onto one of the games. Freddy goes through doors. Do you hate when you're playing Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and Freddy jump scares you from seemingly out of nowhere? Well, what if I told you that he is actually an omnipotent being that can teleport through doors? Well, that's what some people thought for Five Nights at Freddy's 1. People thought he could just simply teleport through the door. Yeah, I kind of put this one as a joke entry. Some people did actually believe it for a short amount of time, until it was just, you know, obviously debunked immediately after, because because he can't teleport. Now, you know who can teleport? Golden Freddy. But no, it wasn't about Golden Freddy. It was just about normal Freddy. So yeah, I don't really know. Owner of restaurant named Freddy. Okay, now we're getting to some OG theories for the first FNAF game. Before any major lore was set into place, people speculated that the owner of the restaurant was just named Freddy and named Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria after himself. It's a very simple rumor slash theory, but we all know it isn't true anymore. But yeah, it's just something that people thought of. Withered Bonnie had a skull inside his head. This one is just what it says. People said that you could see a skull inside of Withered Bonnie, but I mean, I just can't see it. Maybe you guys can. I don't really know, but yeah, I don't see anything, so I don't know. Freddy is advanced AI. This one's an interesting one. In Five Nights at Freddy's 1, people thought that Freddy Fazbear was actually a very advanced AI, and the reason people believed that is because he wouldn't move until the later nights. So some people said that he was actually analyzing how the other animatronics move and how the player played the game, and after he analyzed all that, he would begin to strike and attack during the later nights. Now this is a really good theory actually, and for the first couple of games this is actually kind of plausible, especially when Five Nights at Freddy's 2 came out, and the phone guy mentioned that the animatronics had a criminal database built inside of them. So I mean, it isn't that far-fetched, but lore-wise, yes, these animatronics are very ahead of their time for what they are capable of. But gameplay-wise, no, Freddy cannot actually track what the player does throughout the previous nights and does not plan his attacks accordingly, but it would be very terrifying if he could. The Living Tombstone songs are canon. No, they're not. It'd be pretty cool if they were, but no, they're just not. People believe that they were because Scott did acknowledge these songs and said what his favorite one was a very long time ago, but for some reason people thought that this meant they were canon, but no, they're not. Now, I hope most of you guys didn't know about those previous entries, as those ones are super obscure and aren't known about at all. But now, we're getting into the final layer. A lot of these were based off of actual hoaxes and theories about the games, but 2 of these entries I actually made myself, so you'll never see these hoaxes anywhere else on the internet, until well after you see this video posted, and then boom, you'll see these ones on the internet, but you know what I mean. So throughout this layer, I want you guys to try and determine which ones I made up and which ones I didn't. You know, let's have a little fun with this last layer. But anyways, let's get right into it. They hide your body and never tell anyone. Now this one's kind of getting in the creepypasta territory. This hoax is about a supposed minigame of the crying child and how what was inside of the locked box at the end of FNAF 4 was the body of the crying child. Now the main premise of this supposed minigame was to play as a character carrying the crying child's corpse to the box and hiding it away forever. Supposedly this minigame was supposed to be very brutal and very bloody, but well, it was never in the game, but some people believe that that was what was hiding inside of the box. Based on real life this entry is talking about the first ever game theories video about Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and how MatPat related the events of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 to an actual real life at a Chuck E. Cheese. Now to not talk in bad spirit about the victims or about the whole situation in general, just note the theory is not true. It was quickly debunked, and especially looking back on it, it just doesn't make any plausible sense. I guess it could kind of correlate and make sense to the first game, but after all the new lore, we obviously know this isn't true. And this one's so far down not because of how obscure it is, but because of how disturbing it is. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just watch the first Five Nights at Freddy's game theories video and you'll understand. Freddy Fazbear's has a basement. Have you ever played the first ever Five Nights at Freddy's map in Gary's mod? Now the reason I'm asking this is because this map has a basement in it, which made people speculate that there was actually a basement in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria in the first game, and it was located somewhere in the back room off camera. Now if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have footage on screen of it, so don't worry about it. People speculated that this is where William Afton would lead the children to game end them, and that he would hide their corpses in the basement before he could stuff them. Which I mean, if the basement was just connected to the back room and hidden off a camera, no one would ever suspect anything or see anything happen. Just lock that door and boom. And some people actually speculate that Golden Freddy, instead of being in the kitchen, was hidden in this hidden basement area. In the Gary's mod map, this is where the generator for the power supply is at. So a bunch of people actually correlated these things and thought the basement was actually canon in the real Five Nights at Freddy's 1 game, but we'll never know because it was never denied or confirmed. Scott Cawthon sold his soul. Would you do whatever it takes to become successful? Do you want to become a famous singer, actress, musician, model, or etc.? Well, some people might want to choose a different career path, and that goes without saying that Scott Cawthon might have been one of those people. After developing games for many years of his life and having all of them fail tremendously, Chipper & Sons Lumber Co. was Scott's final game before he retired, as all of his other games failed, including this one. And after getting a bunch of hate and bad reviews on this final game, Scott finally snapped. He couldn't take it anymore. He wanted to retire but knew that he couldn't. He wanted to go out with a bang. So Scott made a deal with the devil and sold his soul to become the most popular indie indie game developer ever. And getting into a depressive state, he finally went with it, and feeling inspired by one of the hate comments telling him the characters in Chipper and Son's Lumber Code looked like animatronics, he used that inspiration to make Five Nights at Freddy's. And with little to no support or any money coming in to fund the game, he went all in. And immediately after the release of the game, it became one of the most popular indie games and games in general. Now, why do you think this happened? Well, because Scott Cawthon sold his soul. Or well, at least that's what some people think. How do you get overnight success like that from developing that stupid little video game? Did he get successful because his game was innovative, terrifying, and unique, or was there something else going on behind the scenes? Some people say that he did sell his soul, but I guess we'll never know. FNAF 4 based on Scott Cawthon's house. While developing Five Nights at Freddy's 4, people speculate that Scott actually used real floor plans of his house. I mean, not exact replicas, because what room has two doorways that lead to a hallway, but some people believe that he used a real-life inspiration in his own house to actually develop the rooms, hallways, and etc. And same with the minigames. People said that he used the same floor plans for the FNAF 4 minigames, including the crying child, who actually developed the layout. I mean, I guess we'll never know, but this is a very plausible theory, and it would explain why the pictures in the hallway are of his real-life family. Finally, we have reached the final segment of this video, where me and a few other FNAF YouTubers go over and make fun of some of FNAF's newest hoaxes made by Mr. Cheese 1147 on TikTok. If you watched this far into the video, I just want to say thank you. And anyways, without further ado, let's get into the final and best segment of this video. Alright, so finally, after that long supercut video, we are finally at the last segment. And, well, we gotta introduce a few people here that, well, are here to, help me react to these epic hoaxes. So, Jerikai, you're up first. Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Jerikai Games. I'm from Australia, and I'm a crippling alcoholic.
Alright, there's Jerikai Games, everybody. And then, the next and final person, Springlock Films.
Hi, I'm Springlock Films. I'm an animator from New Zealand.
Boo!
I'm not an
Next.
alcoholic like Jerikai.
Alright. So, as I have briefed you guys earlier and the audience, this is Mr. Cheese 1147, also known as Mr. Cheese. And he or she or whatever has made all of these, well, pretty interesting and pretty cool hoaxes, and we're going to go through them and react to all of them. So, we're going to start at the very beginning. So, this is
Iceberg.
Eyebrowless
FNAF
Freddy.
1 beta.
What? I just noticed there's no eyebrows. What the? Okay, no, that. I don't think these are hoaxes.
Ah, the lack of eyebrows. Oh god. Oh.
Chipper!
What is
Chipper? Chipper!
Oh.
What is that?
Oh, that's the wolf thing. I think that was the. I remember Scott was gonna do that.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like before he chose Foxy. Yeah.
This just makes me look at the Endo Mouth and the FNAF 1 models and just think they look really fucking stupid.
They do. But like you never really see them.
Oh my god.
Is that golden? Oh, whoa.
Okay, that one was actually creepy. That one was actually creepy. This one,
Freddy
What's
looks
the-
like he's gained a bit
Look
of
at
weight.
the ear.
There.
Yeah, this is what happens when
Like,
Toy
there's
Freddy
a little
gets
bit
fat.
more than Toy Freddy.
He's a little chunky.
Maybe
We
Toy
don't
Freddy
judge
did a
him.
workout. Maybe before FNAF 2 he did a workout. That was some.
This is the Giga Chat.
We may
Toy
never
Freddy.
know. That one's
This one's got a
iconic.
kick to it. This one's kind of
Yes.
creepy. I can't even lie.
The human teeth. Super spooky.
Mm.
I always
know
forget
what
that the
this
puppet is actually meant to be a robot. I always just imagine it to be like
What? I like
a puppet.
I'm curious now. What would the puppet's endoskeleton actually look like though? If it did have an endoskeleton?
Because it doesn't have an endoskeleton. It seems way too flexible to have
Does
an
it?
endoskeleton.
Oh, okay. This is my specialty.
Pig Gavin
My
gone.
specialty.
Ah,
FNAF 2
yes.
Stingray.
FNAF 2 Stingray. Oh,
What does this even say?
All I see is
Hey.
Hey Sigma me
Hey,
CP. What?
CP? Oh, hell no. Someone says
Why does it
why
say
does it
CP? Why does it say CP? It's over. CP has multiple meanings, my friend. Oh, from Mew. Oh god. The comments are the real horror.
Oh.
Ah,
Nightmare
yes.
Golden Freddy found. Ooh.
Isn't that just Nightmare Fredbear?
I thought that was just normal Fredbear. That looked like normal Fredbear with just some Nightmares Eve. That's all I'm saying.
Just Nightmare Fredbear? Like why?
Whatever it
It's like
is,
that.
it's got a little kick to it. This one's a little spooky. I can't even lie. This one's a little. This would have left me in a vegetative state in 2015.
Oh, like that one's actually.
Oh. I can't. These are. This one's pretty good. I think this one's my favorite so far.
Boo! Fan games, boo!
Boo! Nightmare Spring Bonnie teaser.
I don't even remember
It's believable until you look at the
Like, I know-
eyes. Dude, this looks just like the guy from Dormitoverse. I'm not even kidding.
Chrome Freddy in FNAF 3. Only OGs know.
All
Only
I was
OGs
thinking
know
was
Chrome Freddy.
Shamrock Freddy. Where's the Shamrock Freddy?
Yeah.
OGs know Shamrock Freddy. Fun time Bonnie.
Oh, what the fuck am I looking at? This is disgusting.
This is
Why
so
the
peak.
fuck is his forearms blue? Why? What's the point? I don't get
Honestly,
it.
blue.
Why? Oh,
He's got blue
ew.
toes.
Ah,
Are you looking at his toes, Gavin? What the hell?
Hey.
the most important part. This one's just gross though. There's nothing good about this one. This one deserves to burn for all eternity.
Salvage.
Like that's drip beer. That's what I'm saying. Drip beer.
This was like when FNAF 3 first came out. They were
Oh,
like, trying to
yeah,
figure
and
out
they
who
thought that it was
Springtrap
like-
was. They thought it was this like if you flipped the original teaser, it looked like this, and then end it salvage.
It looks like a skinny Dreadbear, kind of. This was- I
There were
like this.
worms under your skin. You know what? This is like every single like modern FNAF like ransomware game now. To be fair, it's just like
Literally.
distorted FNAF 1 Freddy with like random text that's like meant to be creepy but like isn't. Oh my
Ooh, this
god!
one's good.
Ah!
This one's good. Fun time balloon.
You know what? Funtime Bonnie, I'm sorry that I ever said anything bad about you. This is worse. Also, why are his balloons attached to his wrist?
Yeah. I just seen that.
He's not even holding
Bro.
them.
Bro
He's
can't
not
move his
holding it, just
hands.
Man's just like, he's been forced to hold the balloon. It's like, okay, child, don't run off. I'm gonna tie these balloons on for you for your own safety. In case you get lost. God damn. Okay, FNAF movie 5 revealed. This is what it's gonna be.
FNAF 3 Bonnie fixed. I don't think this is FNAF 3, Mr. Cheese, but alright.
I was gonna say, but
I mean, FNAF 2 Bonnie fixed, but
yeah, I don't know why FNAF like fixed withered Bonnie is just I've never thought it looked good.
I mean, it's okay, but it's kind of just.
It's honestly scarier than withered Bonnie. The original Fredbear model found. Actually, you know what? It is. Look at see how the hat's clipping into the top of his head. That's how you know it's a Scott model. That's how you know it's a Scott Cawthon model.
True. Withered toys found. Okay.
I have
Stop
seen these
skipping.
images so many times that it's just these are obviously fake. This is just bad.
No, this is so real. What do you mean?
I didn't
This is
even
so
match
real.
it.
No, not at all.
No, it's
It doesn't look right.
no. If I turn the quality down enough, they won't notice that it's clear.
See, look at- the lighting
like
looks super
compared
good,
to Toy
doesn't it?
Bonnie, compared to like Toy Bonnie, compared to Toy Freddy. Toy Freddy looked way in the light than this one. This one just looks straight out, like it was just a PNG dropped onto it. Add a bit of rain
the
and
puppet
it's
in the
perfect.
background. What the fuck am I looking at, bro?
He's
That's,
at least in color.
Wow,
Oh, yeah.
super scary, super spooky. Yes.
Yeah, so it's like the FNAF I wanted to. Oh,
The scariest part of this image is that the night 4 and 5 a.m. texts are not aligned.
That's so true.
It's real. Look how it's clipping into the vent. That's how you know it's real.
Oh, bro,
God.
standing.
It just gets worse as you go down. Like his torso is like normal. You go to his feet and it's just like burns and
They're
charred.
like clipping him to the ground. I think. I can't tell.
Oh, it's real.
Maybe it's real.
clipping.
It's real.
It's real. It's
real.
clipping.
Oh, it is
It's
real.
clipping.
Oh, we're not going back to this.
This is some FNAF in real time shit right here, honestly.
Foxy's a good guy, as the caption says.
Okay, this isn't even a hoax. This is just like
This is just a recreation of that, like, really popular.
yeah, bird
Oh,
song.
Paper that every
Bird.
kid had, like, in 2018.
Exact. Not
Yeah,
even
yeah,
2014.
Yeah.
Literally 2014, 2015. Fun
Oh.
time
What
Golden
is
Freddy.
this? They just look like they put a shell on Yindo. It was like, oh,
What?
yes.
Okay, my question is, why does he have a hole in his foot? Look at his leg. He's got a hole in his leg. It's not even golden. It's white Freddy with just a bit of yellow. It just sucks.
Oh my god, it's Springlock. It's Springlock Films.
It's been like films. Oh my god. Okay, like that is like, isn't that like the actual Spring Bonnie model though? What is?
Isn't that the fan-made one, though? Like,
What is
there's
with
not an official
Fredbear's-
one, is it?
What's his with Fredbear's face? Why
He's
does
got
he
a
look
very
like
big
that?
snout.
Like, is it the eyes? Is it the eyes being so small? Is that what it is?
No, it's no
No,
eyebrows.
it's his snout and no
Oh,
eyebrows. It's so
Yeah, he's-
big.
Dude, he looks like a pug. It's like, you know how like pugs look like dogs that you got a frying pan and smash their fucking face in? That's what you've done to this.
Oh
god! Oh my god! They're back! I gotta say though, why is he so buff? Look at his shoulders; they're fucking huge. Freddy's been hitting the gym. This one doesn't actually look that bad. Although, again, I don't know. The shoulders
the arms
just look too big? Yeah, the arms are just too big.
The arms are big, yeah. Oh.
This one actually looks okay though. This isn't even bad. This is just like FNAF 1 Chica.
Oh,
Ah,
it's not too bad.
Boo. I mean, it's okay, but like, I don't know. Why is Toy Freddy just sitting there? Don't forget about me, please.
He just wanted to photo shoot it. He just wanted to be a bomb in it.
Oh, what the hell is this? Is this supposed to be Phantom Foxy?
Oh my god, Phantom Sparks.
What happened to his hip? Yeah.
Yeah,
His hip's just gone. He doesn't have one anymore.
Yeah, no, he's completely levitating on one side. It totally makes sense.
You know,
Phantom body.
I almost liked it until I realized that he's just like too skinny. Like, it's literally his body. His head is way too big for his body, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, I'm not gonna lie. That image goes insanely hard.
What happened? What happened to the hips? Like,
Well, wait, it just actually looks like the puppet is an animatronic now. It doesn't just look like a puppet.
Yeah, it does.
What the fuck am I looking at?
FNAF sister location night for a spring lock suit. Okay, so this is what it looks like.
I don't think that's it.
That's not. That is definitely not what it is. But you know what? I respect it. You know, this is kind of cool. But then I looked at the foot and how it's just like not. It's just not at all rendered in. Probably looks so fucking stupid. Funtime blood puppet. Blood puppet. What is this meant
what
to
is
be?
a blood? What's a blood puppet?
These just all look like fan game models.
This one is, I don't know, I really like this one a lot. This one has, the fact that it has no feet and weird ass fingers and, I don't know. I don't even know, this one's
Man's
really
got
cool.
toilet paper rolls for fingers.
I don't know what this is. Is
Why
this
are all
purple
the
guy Freddy?
That's
No,
purple
I think
guy
this-
mixed with Freddy. Like...
I think this is Shadow Freddy.
No, but it's got the security badge on it.
Oh yeah, true. You're right. Why do they make every hoax Freddy just super fat? I don't understand. Is that like what the fuck
What?
is this? That is why does
That
it have
reminds me
toy...
of that
it has
that
Toy
reminds me of
Body's
that animation like ages ago.
It's got Toy Body's arm
Oh.
and face.
Oh yeah, it does have his arm. I didn't even realize that.
Oh, he
He
does.
stole his arm too.
If this doesn't happen in the FNAF 2 movie where Withered Bonnie rips off Toy Bonnie's face and puts it on his own, then the movie's not good. I'm just saying, guys. This has to happen. Mike Afton in FNAF 2. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, Mike Afton in FNAF 2.
I don't know about that one though.
I'm not gonna lie. Mike Afton in FNAF 2 sounds like a Gavin Gone short, if you know what I'm saying. Springlock.
What is this?
this?
What is this?
This is just
Wait,
why
it's like
scary.
the bottom half. The bottom half looks like it's a beak. It's still a beak, and it's just like
This-
the top half.
It's
Is
with
this
the
like-
Chica's
what's with
jump
that
scare.
shadow?
It's with the Chica's jump scare.
Yeah.
But they've put like Bonnie over the top.
No, because it's got eyebrows.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
got eyebrow on the.
It's
this-
Freddy.
There's no way. I don't
But
know.
like, but like the bottom.
look,
the bottom
it's,
still
it's
looks
with,
like it has
it's withered
has a
Freddy's
beak.
snout. It's withered Freddy's snout. You can tell.
Yeah,
I just
but like the beak, there's still like a beak down there. Am I not the only one seeing that? Like
Yeah,
they just
'cause
recolored it.
it's withered Chica's jump scare from FNAF 2. They've just redone it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks like I don't know. It looks like it's got whiskers with the wires. I have no clue. Oh, this one's fire.
Oh my god! You know what? This actually is real because Mangle is not rendered into the camera system properly, just like Mangle in FNAF 2. It's perfect.
There's something off about it. I don't know what it is.
I think it's because there's no shadow or the light isn't reflecting off of it correctly.
Yeah. Kitchen camera.
Camera.
Why does Chica look like that? What are they doing in the kitchen?
And why is Chica taller than Freddy by so much?
Her eyes, man. Chica's been taking some of that Faz pizza, if you know him. Look at the fucking eyes, bro. Chica keeps going back to the kitchen for a very specific reason. I think we've uncovered it.
Golden Freddy.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Nightmare salvage found.
Okay, this one's just like not even interesting.
Like, what is that? What is that?
This looks like an Endertrap co-shore right here.
Oh
my
it's
God.
Okay. It's the FNAF 3 salvage like hoax character made into a night. So it's a hoax of a hoax.
But it doesn't even look like salvage. That's what I mean.
It says that though, Joker.
It's Hoax Squared.
What is
this character. This was like one of the OG ones.
I don't even know what this is.
Theora, the kindest animatronic, is found. The fuck you mean the kindest animatronic?
Oh no, that's just her.
It's oh my god, it's tie-dye. It's tie-dye Freddy.
It's emo. Got the emo haircut.
God fucking damn it. Okay, this one's actually freaky. Shadow Foxy.
Okay.
It's gonna be Shadow Chica. Get ready.
Oh,
Shadow
you
Nightmare God damn.
Nightmare Chica. There'll be a Shadow normal Chica.
Well, there's a Shadow
Two more
Puppet
slides.
coming up. There's a Shadow Puppet coming up, you can see.
Nope, Shadow Balloon Boy. Shadow Balloon Boy.
That's kind of creepy.
You know, that one's actually kind of good. I like it. This is nice. Very epic. Very cool. How Swing Trap should have looked. Oh, God.
In FNAF 2, mind you.
Golden.
Jericho,
What do you mean
where's your
Golden
cameo at, pal? Where's your
I
cameo
know.
at?
So
Oh, what the hell?
the Balloon Boy is the only thing that I'm looking at right now.
Okay, I have to admit,
Is that-
the way
is
the
that a-
proxy
is
is
that a
kind of
black
tough,
stripe?
but the Balloon Boy is...
What's with his nose? It's just so big.
I don't like it. This makes me uncomfortable. Golden Knight
Gavin,
would be
next
tough.
slide, Gavin.
It's just the
Next
comment
slide,
section.
Golden Chica?
Golden Chica.
Oh my god, it's Chicken Jockey.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
There's
Get out.
Nightmare Chicken Jockey.
Gavin, I gave you all of the 5-year-olds' attention. You're welcome.
Now all your comment section is just gonna be Chicken Jockey.
Phantom toy animatronics found.
Why?
What am I looking at?
Oh, this is from a day ago. God damn.
This one's pretty bad. I can't even lie.
No, that's. I think Mr. Cheese fell off. Now you've got my attention back. I'm not gonna lie.
FNAF 2 power outage event. Okay, this one's pretty fire actually.
Why is he straw clipping
He's
into his fucking
clipping.
face?
Was
It's real. It's clipping.
that all? That's all of them. That
Wow.
is it.
If you want to see more FNAF Hoax videos like this one, be sure to click on any other channel because Gavin Gone is becoming a Fallout 4 channel from now on.